से कर लेता हूँ। ये कॉपी करना नहीं है, नहीं बोलना है, ये तो आ गया, दिखा आ तो रहा, ये देखो ये दिया हुआ है ना, कहाँ है? मिट गया।
Minister, welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. कैसे हैं मैम?
बस मैं ठीक हूँ, आप सुनाइए सर।
बहुत बढ़िया। आपको एक हफ्ते से बड़े परेशान कर रखा है हम लोगों ने।
नहीं कोई ऐसी बात नहीं है सर, इट इज आवर प्रिविलेज।
आई एम ट्राइंग माय बेस्ट कि अच्छे से हमारी प्रोग्राम हो जाए।
यस सर।
थोड़ी देर के लिए वीडियो में ये कर रहा हूँ।
हाँ जी सर।
मैम एक बार YouTube चेक कर लीजिएगा, सही जा रहा है ना?
अच्छा मैं चेक कर लेती हूँ।
मैम एक बार YouTube चेक कर लीजिएगा, सही जा रहा है ना?
मेरे हिसाब से सही जा रहा है, देख लिया मैंने।
हाँ जी ठीक जा रहा है, मैंने भी चेक कर लिया, ठीक जा रहा है।
Good afternoon, ma'am and sir.
गुड आफ्टरनून।
पांडे जी सही जा रहा है।
मैम एक बार YouTube चेक कर लीजिएगा, सही जा रहा है ना?
मेरे हिसाब से सही जा रहा है। हाँ जी ठीक जा रहा है, देख लिया। हाँ जी ठीक जा रहा है, मैंने भी चेक कर लिया, ठीक जा रहा है।
शेखर, गुड आफ्टरनून।
Good afternoon, sir.
Great to see you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Great to see you.
एक बार YouTube चेक कर लीजिएगा, सही जा रहा है।
तो मेरे हिसाब से ठीक जा रहा है।
मैम एक बार YouTube चेक कर लीजिएगा, सही जा रहा है।
मेरे ख्याल से इको हो रहा है, उनको थोड़ा फोन कर लीजिए मैम, उनका वॉइस इको थ्रो कर रहा है।
Afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
तो मेरे हिसाब से ठीक।
Navya?
Yes.
तेरे में 2 माइक से है क्या तेरा?
बोल.
Just try
Should I
to
tell you?
present the presentation.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, Charudat sir. Good welcome. Dr. Babita this side.
Good afternoon, Babita. How are you? Please let
I'm
me know if
fine.
I'm
How are you,
audible
sir?
and clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
Good afternoon, Dr. Babita, Dr. Zinat this
Good
side.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, all the guests.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Dr. Sir.
Good afternoon, G. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Very fine, thank you.
Great.
I'm just trying to do a couple of things.
Great to see you after a long time.
Absolutely. I hope all is well at your end as well.
All good, sir. Thank you so much.
Sir, good afternoon. Thank you, sir, for joining.
Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. Zinat this
Good
side.
afternoon. Walaikum salam.
Sir, good afternoon. Thank you, sir, for joining.
Yeah.
So Manas sir has joined and Charudat sir has joined, and Alam sir is our vice chancellor sir, and he's joined with us today.
Sir, Manas sir, you are on mute.
Good afternoon, Mr. Alam. It was
Good afternoon.
Mr. Alam.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Shall we begin?
Yeah, I hope Manas sir, should we start?
Give me a second, man. Let me try to speak to other two speakers. Give me a second, please.
Shashi, ask others to join as well fast. They're joining, but ask them to be a little fast.
Dr. Babita, I must congratulate you for organizing such a, such a topic and such a organized such a summit. I think
Thank
the
you so
topic is extremely valid, and how healthcare reforms are happening in India with respect to the entire, not only healthcare, but I would say life sciences, as you correctly put it, whether it's pharmaceuticals, whether that's medical. I think it's very valid, and congratulations for doing it on a Saturday, and thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And actually, it is a need of the day because the things are revolving around all these things only. So I thought it would be a very good message and also a thought process and brainstorming sessions so that we can understand how to just match and map according to the time. Yeah.
Indeed. Manas, please do let me know when you're starting.
Sir, give me a second. Atul sir told that he is already there, but I cannot see him. Just wondering which link he has joined. Atul Hadap sir, can you hear? I think he has joined some other link. Give me a second. Atul Hadap sir has joined YouTube में चले गए थे, so he is joining in a minute. And Vicky Ashok sir told that he'll be joining post 2:30. He is going through a minute. I think Atul sir is already there. Yes, we can start, sir. Atul sir, very good afternoon.
Shall we begin, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope all of you are safe and in good health. A very warm welcome to all the dignitaries, speakers, and participants. Thank you all of you for joining in this virtual summit. I am Shashi Shekhar Singh, B Pharma final year student from School of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Jamia Hamdard. I take this opportunity to welcome all our speakers and participants in day one of virtual summit. I would take a moment to acknowledge the presence of our Honorable Chancellor Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, Registrar Sir, Finance Officer Sir, Deputy Registrar Sir, and other university officials. I would also like to acknowledge deans, rectors, principals, HODs, and all the faculty members of all the schools. Last but not the least, our Honorary Director, Industry Academic Partnership Cell, Dr. Babitaji Kataria, and all the non-teaching staff. Now, before we begin the session, here are some instructions. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type that in the chat box. I will bring them up during the presentation if necessary. Otherwise, we will also have a question answer session at the end of the session. To ensure the smooth conduct of the virtual summit, I would request everyone to please keep yourself on mute. COVID has had significant impact on the way we function. It has forced us to move to the digital arena. Apart from this, it has put the pharma industry in limelight. But with the pandemic waning, a major question lingers. What is the way forward for the industry? So now it is our privilege to have an eminent panel of speakers from healthcare and pharmaceutical industries, starting with Mr. Manas Ranjan Rao sir, who is the founder and CEO of Cognitrix Consultant Private Limited. Our second speaker is Dr. Charudat Arora, who is HOD of Ameri Health, Asian Institute of Medical Science. Our third speaker is Mr. VK Ashok, Head Marketing, Oncology and Hospital Biz, Dr. Reddy Laboratories. And our fourth speaker is Mr. Atul Hada, who is Country Head, India and Southeast Asia, GRH Knowledge Services, who shall be sharing the insights on the most relevant topic, that is revolving market dynamics and globalization of life science industry post-COVID era. Now, for commencing the session, I would request Mohsin from School of Management and Business Studies for the enunciation of few verses of Quran. Over to you, Mohsin.
Thank you, Susi. Is I am audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلا الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. Now the translation of the verses. Yasin, by the wise Quran, indeed you, O Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, are from among the messengers on a straight path. This is a revelation of the exalted in might, the merciful, that you may warn a people whose forefathers were not warned, so they are unaware. Already the word has come into effect upon most of them, so they do not believe. Indeed, we have put shackles on their necks and they are to their chain, so they are with heads aloft. And we have put before them a barrier and behind them a barrier and covered them, so they do not see. And it is all the same for them whether you warn them or do not warn them, they will not believe. You can only warn one who follows the message and fears the most merciful unseen. So give him good tidings of forgiveness and noble reward. Indeed, it is we who bring the dead to life and record what they have put forth. And what they left behind, and all things we have enumerated in a clear register. Now, I would like to invite Bhavya Rai. She is a final year student from the School of Pharmaceuticals, Education and Research. Over to you, Bhavya.
Uh, Thank you so much, Mohsin, for Quran enunciation. Am I audible?
Yes, you
Hello?
are.
Yes,
Yes.
Bhavya, you are.
With the blessings of Almighty, let's begin our today's session. We are extremely grateful to carry this session under the guidance of highly esteemed and profound dignitaries. I welcome everyone who have joined in so far. With immense pleasure, I would like to invite Dr. Babita Ji Kataria ma'am for delivering the welcome speech. Dr. Babita Kataria is the Honorary Director, Industry Academia Partnership Cell, Jamia Hamdard. Earlier to her present endeavor, she has worked at Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow and Noida as Director University Industry Interface Cell. She centrally managed 756 affiliated colleges of the aforesaid university. She has 27 years of experience in the field of medical sciences, training and placement, industry academia relationship, academics, administration, industry and business development. She has worked with various institutes of Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, Delhi, and corporates like HCL Technologies, KLG Sisters, Technochip. She has done her doctorate in management from Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, Delhi. She has been recently digitally awarded by the Circle of Legends among top 20 international women with nobility and courage. She has a big network of corporates and academia, the legacy of which she enjoys for supporting her students and enhancing industry academia relationship. Happy moments of her are to be surrounded by nature, to be in a positive and learning environment, and to do some useful work for students' fraternity. It's a great honor to have you in this event. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Bhavya, for such a warm welcome. And now I will like to welcome my all the delegates, my honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, and all the other officials of the university. So today we have gathered here for the complete summit, and it will be like for 2 days. So on behalf of Jamia Hamdard, deemed to be University Industry Academia Partnership Cell, would like to welcome you and appreciate your benign presence as special guest and today's honorary speaker of the prestigious summit. The event is designed with 7 eminent speakers for 2 days who have a very high cadre in the respective industries. It gives us immense pleasure to welcome you all on the afternoon of 5th March 2022 on virtual platform. The theme was decided with Mr. Manas Ranjan, the founder and CEO of Cognitrix Consultants Private Limited, and thought to talk about industry scenario post-COVID with our lively students. The topic of this discussion and knowledge sharing for today is revolving market dynamics and globalization of life science industry post-COVID era, which will bring together industry leaders, healthcare experts, and academic partner on one single platform to address the spinning dynamics to describe the growing interdependence of the world's economies, cultures, populations, flows of investment, people, and information post-COVID era. Our vision is to establishing and developing budding aspirants to be future ready, accept challenges, and work hard for their endeavors to achieve goals of the organizations. Indeed, it is a pleasure and pride to say about my university, Zamia Hamdard. It is a dream and expertise of Hakim Hafiz Abdul Majid ji. He gave the name Hamdard to his venture, which means sympathy for all and sharing of pain. Jamia Hamdard Foundation was laid by late Janab Hakim Abdul Hamid ji, a renowned physician who worked relentlessly for raising human by education and health. Our Honorable Chancellor, Janab Hamad Ahmed ji, is one of the founding members of Hamdard National Foundation and its inception in 1964. His modesty hides the magnitude of his achievement in introducing new initiatives for contribution to society, and his persistent commitment to the charitable cause has improved the lives of countless people. Our Professor Dr. Mohammad Afsar Alam is our Honorable Vice Chancellor. He is of high caliber and a visionary person. He dreams about education, teaching, learning, and giving back to the society. He is a driving force behind all the activities happening in the university. Every day we learn a lot from him. He keeps us like his family and support us in all odds of our life. Thank you, sir, for being with us. The university came into existence as a university in 1989 when the Ministry of Human Resource Development, the Government of India, declared it as a deemed to be university on the recommendation of the University Grant Commission, a well-known, renowned university in education sector. It is a pride to speak about the School of Pharmacy, which is ranked number 1 by NRF ranking Pan India. And every year we plan to take this level to the next level. In the medical, the university is on 25th position. In university category, it is on 41. And in overall ranking, it is on 64th position all over India. We are NAC A grade, and this year we are scaling to get NAC A plus. The most of the faculties are either PhD or pursuing PhD. The faculty has a zeal of doing high-level research work. There are countless ranks and awards, but the time is less and much to say. However, we wish this to continue forever. Thank you so much for patiently listening and me, and once again, from the core of my heart, welcome you all on the digital platform with the hope to meeting you all in person very soon. Hope these 2 days we will have sessions of wisdom, sharing, and imparting knowledge. I would like to now welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir Professor Dr. Mohammad Afsar Alamji in the virtual summit. It is his dream to have an online summit and very soon to have an offline summit and invite eminent speakers at our university to give our hospitality. In the light of visionary and eminent personality, I will like to introduce Vice Chancellor Sir. Professor Mohammad Afsar Alam Sir has completed his post-graduation in MCA from the Aligarh Muslim University and PhD from Jamia Millia Islamia. Presently, he is working as our Honorable Vice Chancellor and Professor and Dean of School of Engineering Sciences and Technology. His areas of research includes software reengineering, data mining, bioinformatics, fuzzy database, and sustainable development. In his 25 years of experience in teaching and research, he was invited to many countries across the globe, including UAE, Nepal, Syria, Yemen, and many more for delivering special lectures and as keynote speakers in conferences. He has authored 10 books, supervised more than 30 doctoral students and more than 200 postgraduate research projects, and has more than 160 research papers in reputed journals to his credit. He is confirmed with many prestigious awards like Bharat Samaj Ratna Award, AMP Award for Excellence in Education, Cooperative Citizen Award, World Environment Day Award, and Spradha Shri Award. He is also the member of various government bodies at both national and international level, including University Grants Commission, All India Council of Technical Education, National Assessment and Accreditation Council, and Department of Science and Technology. He is a full package of education, science, and everything what I can say. There is much to say in his excellence. I now invite the chairperson of Industry Academia Partnership Cell and Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir to share his thoughts and grace the event with his presence. Sir, over to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Babita, our honorary director of the Academic Industry Cell.
Thanks.
Dr. Zinat, all the dignitaries today present in this online Today, Babita made me and they have given the topic that revolving market dynamics and globalization of life science industry in a post-COVID era. So this is a very relevant topic for today's context, and the world has witnessed and is still witnessing a crisis like never before. The coronavirus flooded the market with the waves of lockdown across all the countries throughout the globe. This topic is very close to the ethics and ethos of Jamia Hamda. Our university has a very well functional ecosystem that was brought to the forefront while the pandemic was there. Our entire team of healthcare that comprise of modern as well as traditional medicine played an important role in dealing the crisis. The entire Hamdard fraternity should shoulder to shoulder in the organizing a free vaccination drive, providing quarantine facilities, tie up with Delhi police, and more importantly, convey education in spite of all the adversities. Though the pandemic has severely affected almost every industry, life science happened to at the epicenter of the crisis. The medical device companies were under immense pressure to develop and deliver a personal protective equipment, diagnostic test kits, drugs, and medical device to provide a supportive care to frontline workers and infected patients. For biopharmas, finding an effective vaccine to contain the impact of COVID-19 has been the biggest concern. The governments and regulatory bodies have been working in tandem to reform guidelines to accelerate the clinical trial, maintain continuity of supply, and ensure fast-track approval of drug and device. Despite COVID-19 many devastating impact, it does present the healthcare sector with a powerful opportunity to accelerate innovation and invent itself. The COVID-19 has accelerated numerous existing and or emerging healthcare trends. Few among them are shifting consumer preference and behavior, integration of life science and healthcare, rapidly evolving digital health technologies, new talent, care delivery models, and clinical innovation. The life science industry has faced an unfairly world of remote working, the virtual doctor visit, and supply chain market by shortage of a medical supplies, healthcare, and service. But now the sector is transforming to meet the new challenges. This sector is also elevating the human experience of the workforce and reshaping what, how, and where the work is performed. Shifting scaling virtual health service for COVID-19 and non-COVID-19 patients alike, and forming new partnership to produce and procure desperately needed vaccines, treatments, and supplies. Despite continuing challenges on multiple fronts, there is a growing optimism that many nations are now better equipped to manage the impact of COVID-19, while there is a little chance that coronavirus will disappear. Altogether, if no new significant variant emerge, experts see COVID-19 transitioning from the pandemic to endemic. It will be with us indefinitely, but at more predictable, manageable level. Healthcare stakeholders should remain alert, nimble, flexible to deal with ongoing peaks and valleys in endemic COVID-19 cases and deaths and other communicable diseases. We have expert speakers who will be discussing the issue in more detail in today's summit. I welcome all the speakers, the participant, and I hope at the same time a very confident that you will be very a great learning experience throughout this summit. Thank you very much. Thanks, Babita. Now over to Babita.
Sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts. Your words of wisdom have really enlightened and enhanced thought process of all the attendees. I now hand over the control to our beloved student, anchor, Mr. Shashi Shekhar. Thank you, sir. Shashi. Please take control of it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir and Dr. Babita Kataria ji ma'am, for your kind words. Now, without taking more time, I would like to invite our first speaker, Mr. Manas Ranjan Rao. He is a founder and director of Cognitrix Consultant Private Limited, a company that involved in offering market research solutions primarily to the pharmaceutical companies in India and abroad. Mr. Manas is an alumnus of IIM Kochikode and Osmania University. He is a successful pharmaceutical professional with more than 19 years of experience in pharmaceutical and healthcare industry. His ventures include Strategic Institute of Healthcare Market Research, Analytic and Competitive Intelligence, which is the India first virtual platform that offers certificate program in market research and competitive intelligence. Sir has previously worked with Glenmark, Novo Nordisk, and also served as country manager for Torrent Pharmaceutical in East Africa, where he managed sales, marketing, regulatory affairs, and new product registration in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. Apart from this, he has also served as Vice President of Strategy Analysis in Corporation. As an academician, Mr. Manasar has been the visiting faculty for competitive intelligence and strategic management at MIT University, Noida. It's a great honor to have you, sir. Now, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shashi. Thank you so much. Uh, Respected Vice Chancellor Sir, Babita ma'am, and all the faculties, students, uh, my industry colleagues, and respected speakers. I'm really glad and privileged to have to share the stage, the virtual stage, with those people who have set milestones in the industry and who are learned professionals in the industry. As we move forward, I'll be introducing to other speakers because I have been given an opportunity to moderate the session today. So thank you so much once again to the entire university. Thank you so much, Babita ma'am, Vice Chancellor Sir, all the faculty, all the students who have taken time out in the weekend time to listen to us.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
So the most talkable word since pandemic, there are two words or two sentences that we are hearing since pandemic. Am I audible? Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
So these are the two words, the two sentences is the most top sentences since pandemic has started. So with this, I hope I am audible, and I like to get some permission to share my screen so that we can start looking into the timeline.
Yes, sir, you can share now.
Once my screen is visible, Sashi, please confirm it.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
So thank you so much. With all gratitude to everyone who has been part of this fantastic event, and I really congratulate the entire university, Babita ma'am, all the senior faculties and faculties to put it across the fantastic topic on revolving market dynamics and globalization of life science industry. So before getting into the topic, I got a very stringent timeline to finish it off. I'll try to finish it off within 30 minutes, which is my allocated time slot. So request everybody, I mean to say all the students for which this program has been organized by the university. I'll sincere request to everyone to listen to all the speakers, and I'm sure we are going to take a lot of learning out of it. So talking about, let me start with talking about the pandemic, the COVID era or post-COVID era. I observe 5 things, which is I put it like red sea impact. So when I'm getting into what is red sea impact, when I'll come to those slides, so I'll talk in detail. But before that, what is this red SC impact? Red. R stands for revolution, E stands for evolution, D stands for digitalization, S stands for startups, healthcare startups, and C stands for consolidation. These 5 things are predominantly happened since last 2 years. Big time. So India is known to be the pharmacy of the world. Are we actually ready for to be part of this pharmacy of the world? Dear students, you got an immense opportunity to be part of this healthcare and life science industry. With quickly putting in focus, so the biggest problem in the industry, I'll just take a few minutes to speak on the challenges of our industry when it comes to pharmacy profession or healthcare profession as a whole. The research shows that if 100 students getting passed out from the pharmacy, be it a B Pharm, be it M Pharm, be it any pharmacy sort of acknowledgement which passing out, only 13% is able to get a job. So what's the reason behind it? Two reasons is coming predominantly. One is lack of industrial knowledge and lack of skill sets. And my dear students, the industry is heading towards artificial intelligence. We are in 21st century. So am I industry ready to be part of a dynamic healthcare life science industry? So what is, and when you talk about life science industry, let me tell you, more than 40 sub-industry domains being integrated with offering of more than $100 billion industry growing at a rate of double digit. You can't find out such a dynamic industry, be it BFSI, be it automotive, be it any other industry, which is highly integrated and highly dynamic. I'm going to show you the type of industry that you people are going to be part of after passing out from your pharmacies. But before that, so what is the reason? There is a lot of demotivation factor which is going all around with the pharmacy students. The student who is getting into pharmacy, probably you people are getting prepared for a pre-medical test. MBBS की हम तैयारी करते हैं. Unfortunately, few people could not get through and they landed up doing pharmacy. Medicine में कुछ करना है बोल के we get into pharmacy. That is the top. The scenario got changed March 2020, the first lockdown when it started in India. उसके बाद situation got entirely changed. Before that, I think we people make the pharmacy profession as the accidental profession. हम लोग को pre-medical test नहीं हुआ, we get into this profession. Now, the type of evolution happened over last 2 years. वो अपना टाइम आएगा, the concept of अपना टाइम आएगा, I think we are actually in the अपना टाइम आएगा वाला टाइम पे हम लोग आ चुके हैं. So dear students, not with wasting the times, so let me welcome you, the galaxy of opportunity which is waiting for all of you with 40 to 43 different subdomains which is highly integrated within healthcare and life science. I'll just quickly take you through. You can just sit out. I am going to send this presentation. So these are the industries you might be knowing: pharmaceutical, OTC, clinical research, education, medical device, medical equipment, surgical, trade and retail distribution. These are the few segments which is you might have less knowledge: hospitals, contract manufacturing, medical consumables, health insurance, advertising communication, medical publication, market research and consulting, medical event management, lab diagnostic and genetics. Roaring, my dear students, genetics is roaring. The future is going to be on the genetics. Distribution and supply chain, big time, big time. There are a lot of multinational companies are getting into this category. Before COVID, the supply chain process was not so integrated. I'm talking about cold storage. The entire government of our country was thinking how to transport vaccines. Within a span of a month, everything got streamlined and we are now highly integrated supply chain system with cold storage facility. And we have one of the leading professional called VK Ashok sir. He is going to speak how supply chain is going to integrated within this pandemic. Pharmaceutical equipment, ingredients, excipients, laboratory analytical equipment, fine chemicals, intermediates, pharmaceutical technology, greenfield and whitefield consulting. And these are few things which is emerging industry and everybody must have heard about. Online pharmacies, medical animation, information technology. Now somebody might be surprising what is information technology is all about in pharmaceutical. Ladies and gentlemen, you take any IT company, starting from IBM to Apple to Infosys to HCL, more than 40% of the revenue is being driven by life sciences. Online clinical networking, social networking platforms, the platform where the promotions, integration of knowledge sharing for the doctors has been started. Online patient appointment, online drug and brand communication, e-detailing, digital marketing, legal patent, data management analytics, medical tourism, HR consulting. And this is the last one we are talking about: medical coding, artificial intelligence, sanitization industry, Ayurvedic organics, health tech startups, big time in India. I'm going to talk on healthcare startups for a few minutes in my presentation. Healthcare at home. We used to go to hospital to get the healthcare. Now, hospital has come home. Dr. Charudat Arora sir is going to talk more on the healthcare at home, but I'm just going to throw some insights. So, more than 30 industry, 40 industry verticals offering 30 types of job profiles to all of you. So please gear up, make yourself industry ready. Now coming to the COVID impact. Let's talk about COVID impact. As I mentioned, the industry has gone through 5 main dynamics during this COVID period: revolution, evolution, digitalization, startups, and consolidation. Red SC is my concept, which I have created, that how the industry has been churned within a span of 2 years. So let's start with what of the revolution happened in our industry. Revolution of API. Ladies and gentlemen, you must be knowing that 93% of API is being imported from China. Look into the current conflicts which is going on within the border, and God forbid if China will plug out that I'll not supply API, or I'll supply API with a higher cost. Not only India, the entire globe is going to be stunned with a crisis situation. India, to be known, third largest and 14th largest, third largest in volume terms and 14th largest in value terms. Third largest country, which is highly dependent on API with China, if will not get API, you can imagine the situation is going to be. However, Honorable Prime Minister declared multiple investments for API business to make Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-dependence of India on API. 100 billion rupees, $1.3 billion has been pumped to the industry, creating different hubs for API manufacturing in India to make India ready in next 5 to 10 years, and at least 40 to 50% the target which government is talking about. Next 5 to 10 years, the dependency of our self-production and API should be standing at a rate of 40 to 50%. This is the revolution started when pandemic hit our country. Now talking about revolution. Now when I talk about revolution, there are many happened on the front of digitalization. I'm continuously working to understand the digitalization impact in the healthcare segment. November 2019, one of the leading consulting company declared that India will take 10 years leap to make healthcare digitalized. Ladies and gentlemen, 10 years leap to make India digitalized. But the story changed. The story changed when we got into pandemic. I am not talking, if the statistics is talking about. You people must be remember, Jio launched in 2014 in aspiration to make entire country internet accessible. They put the towers in the jungles, in the rural areas. Probably when you people are traveling, you must be seeing if you have a Jio connection. Probably Airtel, Voda, and Idea could be knocked off signals. But Jio is static. I mean to say that you anywhere you go, you'll find the network is there. They made the entire internet accessible to the armed public. And courtesy that when pandemic hit our country, we were already well positioned. To to access internet, and we were already ready to be part of the dynamic digitalization process. What statistics talks about? If you see the presentation, 30 million internet users, 30 million internet users in 2015, 302 30 करोड़ इंटरनेट यूजर थे हमारी 15 में। 2021 में 825 मिलियन इंटरनेट सब्सक्राइबर्स, 82 करोड़ 82.5 करोड़ इंटरनेट यूजर्स आर स्टिल स्टैंडिंग ऑन। 2020 में इट वाज 761, 76 करोड़ लोग जब पैंडेमिक हिट हुआ ऑलरेडी इंटरनेट को एक्सेस कर पा रहे थे, and out of which the interesting part of it, around 448 million was social media users. And interestingly, social media users base got increased by 70 to 78 million with a growth of 21%. So India as a country was ready to adapt the digital technology. So when pandemic hit, this is the statistics I'm talking about, April and May 2020. Adoption, doctors' adoption was 70%. Patients, surprisingly, patient adoption was 60%. And if you divide into urban versus rural, urban was 95% in terms of digital adoption, but rural was still 50%. Not to forget, 70% of our population still stays in the rural area of our country. And the biggest surprise probably to you is going to be government's adoption of technology was super fast. 20th, and the health digital mission is being launched into the country. There are a lot of leading institutions like AIMS being integrated. The entire ecosystem is getting changed. When this health digital mission being declared, the entire country is roaring to be part of digital health. See the headlines being published starting from Forbes to Economic Times to IBF. India to become the world leader in digital health. How India's national digital health mission is set to revolutionize in healthcare. Digital healthcare to witness exponential growth in India. Roaring. And I was talking about government knocking at. See this screen. This is being released by All India Institute of Medical Science, Bhubaneswar, on 18th April 2020. I am not talking about All India Institute of Medical Science, AIMS, Delhi. I am talking about AIMS, Bhubaneswar released first. This is being released through the internet and the paper cuts. And this was the first government initiative which I could see personally, that you see by specialty wise they have told the patients, boss, touch base with us through WhatsApp and multiple digital platforms. Is not this amazing that a country where 130 crore people are staying, and all of a sudden the pandemic hit and everybody was in a very choked up situation, and all of a sudden we found that government initiatives are knocking in a big time. Talking about telemedicine, e-Sanjeevani OPD, world's largest teleconsultation platform. I don't know how many of you have been visited ever e-Sanjeevani OPD. This is government of India's initiative. All the state governments are integrated. I am talking about world's largest teleconsultation platform is happening in India with e-Sanjeevani OPD. The story never ends over here. Just see, when the entire thing was normalized before COVID, we go to hospital, हम जाते थे, registration करते थे, waiting में wait करते थे, फिर हमारा time जब आता था, फिर हम डॉक्टर की चैम्बर में जाते थे. The entire process has been digitalized through e-Sanjeevani OPD. Just imagine the quantum of patients being flooded into the government hospitals when the situation was normalized. And we people are in a panic state, what is going to happen? Within a very, very small span of time, government has integrated the entire medical facilities for OPD consultation. Yes, I totally agree there are challenges, there are a lot of issues happened, but the integration process is going on, it will going on, it is going to be going on. Private institutions, ladies and gentlemen, private institutions talking about telemedicine. You can't imagine who the players are got into this space. November 19th, Reliance Industry, I'm talking about Mukesh Ambani Group. Reliance Industry acquired a company called Now Floats. Now Floats was exclusively into telemedicine platforms. Vivio Healthcare, world's largest and biggest successful telemedicine platform from Europe, got into Indian market. Tata Health got into telemedicine platform. Today in our country, more than 1,000 telemedicine companies are operating. And the biggest surprise could be, I was just doing some market research, and this is published data. One of the India's largest consulting company has published it. 4 billion people has been teleconsulted over last 2 years. 400 crore log. 4 billion India's population being teleconsulted. Just imagine 400 crore teleconsultation हुआ है. I'm sorry, not 400 billion people, 400 teleconsultation. One patient could have 4 teleconsultation, 3 teleconsultation. Just see the magnitude of transformation happened through the digital platform. Is this not amazing for a country of ours? And who has not got into this space? You people must be remembering, the Geo has actually made $1 billion through its bringing investment to India. Today, Reliance is not a company of petroleum. Reliance is a company of digitalization. And who has second hands with Reliance? Big time players. We talk about Google, we talk about Facebook, we talk about IBMs. Just imagine the type of inflow in terms of people has coming to India. The region is very clear. We got a fantastic population of 130 million people. 130 करोड़ की आबादी में इतने सारे digitalization होने का, the only reason is highly integrated network. Everywhere integration of networks, internets are going ups and ups. And this is the story that world is talking about. जब COVID vaccine चालू हुआ, when the COVID vaccination started, probably we must have spoken how the government is going to take the initiative to make sure that maximum population is getting vaccinated. Today, we are world's largest vaccine ripe country. And COIN is going to be part of probably 30 countries. 30 countries have requested India to give the COIN platform for vaccine integration process. Online pharmacies, everybody knows how it's going. I need to talk. I need not to talk on it. जो भी बचा था online pharmacy में, Amazon declared to enter into e-pharmacy. The pilot has completed successfully in Bangalore. And you must have seen that a lot of strikes are going on in India in terms of opposing Amazon to get into e-pharmacy platform. Big time digitalization going on. Now let's talk about evolution. Evolution, there is new industry came up called sanitization industry. PPE, ventilators, sanitizers, mask, RT-PCR kit, rapid testing kit, swabs, what not. We became world's second largest supplier of sanitizers, masks, and PPE kit. Within a very small span of time, probably 3 to 4 months, India became world's largest supplier of PPE, ventilator, and sanitizers. What a strong evolution happened in our country. Healthcare at home, ghar pe hospital. It was there in the market, and probably Dr. Charu sir is going to talk more on healthcare at home. ICU at home, nursing at home, oncology at home, diabetes at home, physiotherapy at home, medicine at home, vaccines at home. The dynamism has been changed. The new evolutions has been happened in our country, big time. Nobody thought of, and this is something I just put it across. India's top corporates ventures into healthcare. ऐसा कोई कंपनी नहीं है इंडिया में जो आज की डेट में हेल्थ केयर में इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं कर रहे हैं, whether they are part of healthcare industry or not does not matter. Everybody, if you Google it out for top 50 corporates of India, I had tried to put it few things for all of you. Reliance Industries, not to speak anything on Reliance. They are going to lead the segment. Tata's 1mg investment, big time investment. Tata Health telemedicine platforms. Karkinos Technology invested for oncology solutions recently. And to create a generic, integrated India, generic Aadhaar, Ratan Tata ji has invested personally into generic Aadhaar. SDFC Bank collaborated with Apollo, ICICI Bank, big time. Health, not ICICI Bank is not today banking. The ventures, ICICI Ventures are invested into multifold into healthcare. Sahedri, ICICI Venture, you must have known that ICICI Ventures have picked up majority of the stake from the King's Hospital, Hyderabad, Sahedri Hospital, Pune. Kotak Mahindra didn't have any healthcare portfolio. They got into healthcare portfolio big time in terms of investment. L&T already in medical equipment segment. Hindustan Unilever acquired Horlicks portfolio from GSK Consumer Health. TCS Life Science Business Portfolio and R&D Pharmacovigilance. ITC, the tobacco company. PUS, before you must have heard that they have acquired Savlon from Johnson & Johnson. And there are a lot of things that are happening. They have investing big time into pharma patents. 2015 से 20 के अंदर ITC की एक R&D की हुई है. They have filed maximum patents in healthcare and pharma. State Bank of India, Bajaj Finance, Airtel, Axis Bank, Tech Mahindra, big time. You must be knowing that Tech Mahindra is big time into healthcare. They are already in the healthcare technology. They have engaged multiple investments. They have innovated ventilator at a cost of 7,500 in association with IIT Delhi. Jindal Steel launching very soon the medical equipment segment. Spice Health करके launch किया उन्होंने. They launched multiple health devices into the category. See the transformation which happened post-COVID era. Not only in India, a lot of things are going out as export. Our export has gone up. We are a highly integrated, tech-savvy country. And that offers multi-fold opportunity for each and every individual which is already part of the industry ecosystem or the youth which is going to come into this segment and to be part of the ecosystem. See the evolution. Eureka Fox launched a product called Fox Corona Guard. Within a periphery of 1,000 square feet, they killed the virus. सब लोगों ने हमने सैनिटाइजेशन के नाम पे किसी ने फिनाइल करा, किसी ने कुछ करा, ऑफिस सैनिटाइजेशन करेंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे. स्टेरिका नानो पार्टिकल बेस्ड टेक्नोलॉजी, एक बार करिए 6 महीने खाली, 1 साल खाली. So the new technology, one time sanitation, 1 year you are free. These innovations are happening. Last not the least, when you talk about evolutions of new industry, COVID cell, घर में बैठ के कोविड टेस्ट करेंगे. अमेजोन पे ऑर्डर देते हैं, माई लैब ने बनाया कोविड सेल्फ नाम की फर्स्ट सेल्फ टेस्ट की. 300 रुपए, 300 rupees, get it at your doorstep. You do your COVID testing. You need not to go to even to any diagnostic center. If you want to check it, rapid antigen test it. India has not left behind in terms of research and development, ladies and gentlemen. 14 companies and institutions are working on the vaccine. If you talk about vaccine, we are the largest producers of vaccines across the world. AstraZeneca came and shook hand with us, with Serum Institute. Covaxin is our own indigenous product which has been developed in the R&D of Bharat Biotech. Multiple companies have came into India to make sure that production is rampant and they are able to sell it to the global market. Johnson Johnson shake hand with biological events. Sputnik shake hand with multiple companies, including Dr. Reddy. Probably Dr. Ashok Sir is going to speak on it a bit. We are not left behind. हम ऐसे pharmacy of the world नहीं बने हैं. Forget, we are not only pharmacy of the world, we are going to be the pharma tech of the world. We are going to be the world hub for production, system integration, technology. Everything is going to be sourced from our country. Health startups. Nobody ever imagined health startups. 2 years, 2,500 companies got into healthcare startups. 34 categories. Telemedicine, pharma delivery startup को छोड़ के 32 categories are on healthcare startups. Ladies and gentlemen, you people, the students who are now pursuing the pharmaceutical courses, you people are going to be part of such a highly integrated industry which is highly revolutionized. 20 साल पहले, 20 years before, when I started my career, probably when Atul sir has started his career 8 years before, we had only handfuls of opportunity, and that was pharmaceutical. You see the type of amalgamation happening in our country for healthcare. Consolidation. Recently, mankind has acquired Panacea Biotech formulation business. Surprisingly, just 7 days before, Biocon acquires Viatris biosimilar business, $3.3 billion. Global business of Viatris biosimilar. And a lot of things are happening on digital pharma. I'm not going to speak on it because my seniors who are the speakers in this event are going to speak on it. We are part of a country which is called pharmacy capital of the world. But the biggest problem, what is the biggest problem? The skill sets, the knowledge is not industry ready. It is, I am not saying, this is UNICEF is talking about. Over half of Indian students will not have skills for 21st century jobs. Warns UNICEF. Are we industry ready? Ask yourself whether you are industry ready with the desired skill sets. Artificial intelligence is going to talk a lot. Lot of job cuts are going to happen for artificial intelligence. So dear students, make your skill sets ready and to be part of a highly integrated industry. Before I conclude my session, I would like to show a small video which is on artificial intelligence. Probably you can imagine that where you are standing with. So Sekhar, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you are audible.
I'm just running the video. Just let me know if you can hear the voice and of this video. Can you hear the voice?
No, sir. No.
Is it audible?
No, sir. We cannot hear the voice.
I think there is some problem in the voice system. Probably I can send this presentation to all of you. And this is what I was supposed to present for this program. And I'm ready to answer the questions if anybody has. Thank you so much.
If anybody has any questions, please type them in the chat box.
हम जब पढ़ते थे हमें बोला जाता था कि जब क्वेश्चन नहीं आए तो ये समझ लेना चाहिए या तो सारा समझ में आ गया है या तो कुछ भी नहीं समझ में आया है. अब इसमें कौन सा पार्ट फिट बैठ रहा है स्टूडेंट्स के लिए, आई डोंट नो. So I tried my best to give you whatever I learned since last 2 years. Hopefully it is learningful for you. If anybody has any question, please let me know. You can put it in the chat box. The entire session is about the session has just started. Sir, what kind of technical knowledge is needed for the industry? Simmer Grover. I wish I could have a finite answer to it. So Simmer and the team and the students here, you need to define where you need to go. If you are talking about getting into sales, the knowledge is different. If you are talking about getting into marketing, the knowledge is going to be different. If you are getting into IT telecommunication, the knowledge is different. So first decide which segment you are planning to get into. That is the foremost thing that you need to understand. 20 साल पहले अपॉर्चुनिटी हमारे पास नहीं था. हम पहले सोचते थे कि कैसे पास करें फार्मेसी और फटाफट फार्मा में कूद जाएं, कोई सेल्स का जॉब ले लें और सीधा काम पे निकल जाए. The problem with all of you is going to be, you are going to be part of such a big time process, integrated process. इतनी 40 इंडस्ट्री 50 इंडस्ट्री आ गए हैं within healthcare life science. You need to define it. Shashank Rai, how can we start distributor business and what is opportunity in the future? Shashank, very broad topic. Probably you can get in touch with me. If you talk about distribution system, probably distribution system in India is started consolidating. धीरे-धीरे 3 या 4 companies going to take over the entire distribution network in the entire country. Probably VK Ashok sir is going to throw some insight around it. Anybody has any question? Otherwise, we can go for the next speaker.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with your experience.
Just a second.
Yes, sir, we have.
Key skills for market research and consulting. Fantastic questions. I am part of a market research and consulting process. First, you need to be very analytical in your thought process. You need to introspect those things what you are getting into. Second, you should have very good communication ability. It should be a very good learner. पढ़ाई अगर जिसको अच्छा लगता है वो मार्केट रिसर्च में तभी काम कर पाएगा. जिसको पढ़ाई नहीं अच्छा लगता है वो मार्केट रिसर्च से भाग जाएगा. Third, you should have ability to learn every day. Probably this is what I understand from market research and consulting. Daily acquisition of knowledge is highly important for market research and consulting, because until unless you'll be acquiring more knowledge about the industry, about the products, about the categories, you'll not able to speak to your clients. Sahil Makhija, what skill, technical knowledge do you expect a candidate should have? Market research, consulting, analyst. I think I probably answered this question already. Anybody has any other question? Please put it across.
Yes, sir. There is one more question.
Yes, please.
What initiative should industry and institution should make a student ready for industry?
Oh, fantastic question. Fantastic. When it comes to institutes, I personally believe that institute should get into what industry requires. Number one. Number two, then first, the institute need to understand where the students would like to carve out their career. वो किधर जाना चाह रहे हैं. Then it will be easy for the institution. It is not that easy. I think Sashi has posed this question. This is not that easy to answer. But first, the institute need to know where the student would like to heading towards. किसी को marketing में जाना है, किसी को consulting में जाना है, किसी को IT में जाना है. Then probably institute will take second step to understand what are the skill sets required for each type of job profiles. Now somebody will tell, sir, I would like to get into technical part of it. IT telecommunication में मुझे जाना है. I would like to be part of TCS. Probably B Farm is not a sufficient qualification to look at. B Farm or M Farm will give you technical knowledge in terms of anatomy, physiology, in terms of pharmacology. But if you want to get into IT telecommunication, probably you need to understand the coding process. If you are part of a business development team, probably that is not required. But you need to understand the ecosystem before that. So Shashi and all the students, it is very difficult to define. First, students need to define where they're going to head. Or if I'll reverse it, probably the institute can create a momentum in terms of career awareness programs. So these are the top 5, 10, or 40 industries and 30 types of jobs. And student, you tell us where you want to heading towards. It will be easy for easy for the placement heads or the institutes to bring those companies to the campus for the selection process and placements. Am I able to answer your question, Sasi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any further questions? So I run a program for the students called I Want to Learn. I want to learn. So if anybody would like to learn on a daily basis, you can save my number. I have put it in the chat box, 9911504735. I try to push the daily latest happenings of the industry to the entire student community, industries on a daily basis. If you want to be part of that process, please save my number and send me a WhatsApp message mentioning your name and your qualification. Just mention IWAJ, J for Jamia. IWL, I want to learn J. So this is what I have till time. So I think I should conclude the session over here. Other speakers are waiting for to speak on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering the questions and enlightening us with your experience and knowledge. It's a great honor to have you in this event, sir. May I now request you again to introduce our second speaker for the day, that is Mr. Atul Hadap, Country Head GRH Knowledge Services, to our esteemed audience. Over to you, sir.
So let me take the honor to introduce Atul Hadap sir to all of you, and just for everybody's information, when I started my career way back in 2002, I was being trained by Atul Hadap sir. He was my first marketing head in Glenmark. And sir is carrying a legacy of 38 years. And probably he has launched the legacy brands of our country. With him, I got an opportunity to launch the Telma, the Tell Me Certain brand, which is a brand of 800 crore put together all portfolio today. Sir has launched multiple leading brands starting from Diplat in Torrent to Nicoran in Torrent, and multiple portfolio of diabetes care in Glenmark. He was my first mentor and trainer and the marketing head when I started my career. He worked when last assignment as a job, he was learning and development head of Sun Pharmaceutical. He was earlier in Ranbaxy got acquired by Sun Pharma, and he was part of Sun Pharma. With his 38 years of legacy, he has worked in multiple aspects, starting from sales, marketing, learning and development in terms of training. Sir is an alumni of IIM Calcutta, and he not only worked in Glenmark, Ranbaxy, and Sun Pharma. He also worked as a vice president in Wallace Pharmaceuticals. So words will be less for me to introduce him. So with a great honor and pride, I would like to invite Atul Hadap sir to the student forum, and I'll request him, because he was part of learning and development. Probably he can talk about how the dynamic has been changed for the students who would like to get into sales and marketing over last 2 years. What was the requirement earlier? What is today's requirement? What is the normal things which is going to be in the place? So I welcome Atul Hadap sir, and handing over the session to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks, Manas. And I also thank the faculty members of this esteemed institute and the organizers of this program to give me an opportunity to spend some time with the students. I think that is the greatest moment of enjoy, to spend time with the students, because nowadays I find the students are under huge stress. And the stress starts from, not only stress starts after they pass their 12th standard examinations. Of course, it starts before that. After, once they get admission, even in extremely good reputed institutes, either it be the IIMs or it be the IITs or it be your esteemed institute, they're under heavy stress. And the stress gets complicated. If I have, please excuse me if I say so, the stress gets complicated because of the pressure which is put by the family members, because of the pressure which comes from the professors and the teachers, and because of the pressures which comes from their own colleagues. Okay, so I experience this often, and in fact, just last day, I think a week back, I was in one of the business management institutes in Pune, quite a reputed one. I think the students didn't allow me to proceed with the given lecture. There was a topic given by the professors and by the institute. After they came to know me, they didn't allow me to go ahead with that practically, and they just said me, "Sir, please answer our questions which is related to our career." And I'm sure, I think, and extremely coincidentally, my very good colleague Manas Ranjan Rao, though I was a mentor, he is quite good enough to still say I'm his a mentor, but I respect him a lot, and I consider him my own colleague now, and he has done extremely well. And he has also, I didn't ask him, but he chose that this is the topic Atul you have to talk on with the students. So whether it is the pre-COVID area, or whether it is the post-COVID area, or whether still we are undergoing the COVID, I think the role of the people, or the role of the uh, role of those who have chosen their career in pharmaceutical sales and marketing, I think it remains evergreen. Either it is, I think it was more important during the COVID times, because during the COVID times, when everything came to a standstill, absolutely everything came to a standstill. The only professionals which were allowed to travel along in the healthcare industry, along with the doctors, were the medical representatives of the company. And I still remember, even when the medical representatives, doctors said, yes, we would like to be in touch with the medical representatives. We come to know what's the latest that is happening. And they said, okay, we can meet only the medical representatives, but we will not meet their bosses. Okay, so that's the importance the doctors gave to the medical representatives. So I will just start my discussion on this topic. I will just I think I have to share the screen. I have to go over here, and 1 minute.
Share your entire screen or window, sir.
Yeah, I will share it. 1 minute. 1 minute. I'll just share it. Manas, just I think I have to go to these 3 dots, right?
No, sir. Just left to 3 dot. There is a arrow.
Oh, yeah. I got it. Share the entire screen, right? I get confused at times, because when I go to different institutes, they have different different platforms of different companies. Okay, fine enough. Okay, fine. One minute, it is taking time. Okay, fine. I'm sure you can see the screen now.
It's coming through, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes,
fine.
we can see now. We can put it in the
Yeah.
full view mode, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure you can see the screen now. Am I right?
Perfectly.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So the topic given to me is pharma sales and marketing by the institute and by my colleague Manas Ranjan Raut. Now, this is one of I think I'm addressing to the student community at large. So, dear students, you have enough opportunities to get into various careers and into various sectors once you acquire a B Farm qualification. And coincidentally, you're acquiring this qualification from one of the best institutes in India. So I don't foresee that you will have any problem in getting a job to start with. You start with a job, you don't start with a career. Okay, you start with a job either in the drug research development, or in clinical trials, or in pharmacovigilance, hospitals, clinics, pharmacies, regulatory affairs, nowadays health data analysis, or nowadays many of the students who have a B Farm qualification, they also get into medical writing. Okay, fine. But My topic is today confined to pharmaceutical sales and marketing. The recent data shows, and I think Manas, basically the recent data, and I got the data from Manas Ranjan Raut, who is extremely good in marketing research. And he told me, and I also happen to read in so many blogs and in so many various other marketing research data spreadsheets that I get, that B Farm students nowadays do not consider or do not even think of initiating their careers in pharmaceutical sales and marketing. So am I right to say so? Because this is a very, very, what should I say, a very aggressive statement that I'm making, that of course, and I'm making this statement in presence of your professors, lecturers, and mentors. Do you agree with this, that many of you do not consider pharmaceutical sales and marketing as your career? Am I right?
I
Yes,
think so, sir. I think so, sir.
yes, sir.
Yeah. Any student who would like to say yes or no or differ with this viewpoint?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
You can put in the chat box why to say yes, or if you are saying thinking no, then put no end in the chat box. That will confirm the things.
okay, fine. So yes, I will come to this chat box also. The reason is, but try to, before I get into the reasoning, and it's according to me, it's according to the dialogue which I have with many of the B Farm students. It is also it also depends on the dialogue which I have with the HR professionals, HR people in the various pharmaceutical companies, and also with maybe the national sales managers or the VPs who are my colleagues or who are now junior to me. They continue to tell me, we do not get the B Farm students, though we badly want them. We want them to join, but they are not joining. Okay, fine. So I will try to speak your mind, and let me know if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Okay, one thing I would like to tell you is this profession is really distinct. Distinct in the sense that in this profession, you really do not meet the consumer, that is the patient. You often meet the customer, and the customer, he is a customer who recommends a medicine to a consumer, that is a patient. And this is one profession where the pharmaceutical companies, by the land of the law, all across the continents, all across the world, are barred to have a communication with the patients. You just cannot have a direct communication with the patient unless and until you have a clear-cut permission from the respective doctors. And many of the times, the doctors do not give this patient. Many multinational companies, many pharmaceutical companies tried their best through patient health programs and various other nomenclatures to have a dialogue with the patient, but I think it did not fructify, because that's the law of the land. Wherein, if you compare this profession to the sales and marketing in the various sectors and in the various industries, yes, the seller can get directly in touch with the consumer, but not in this profession. That's extremely distinct. Another distinctiveness in this profession is your customer. Of course, you have three customers in pharmaceutical sales and marketing: the doctor, the retailer, and the distributor or the stockist. All of them are equally important. But what is considered in pharmaceuticals is a primary customer. The primary customer is the doctor, because he is the one who initiates business for the company through the prescription. He is quite qualified in his own area. I won't say highly qualified. In his own area, he is a very qualified person. After doing his MBBS, he does MD for 2 to 3 years. Then for 2 years, he does DM, or he does the DNB. So possibly around, if I'm not mistaken, it take around 5 to 7, 7 to 9, around anywhere around 7 to 10 years he spends in learning before he becomes a DM, or before he becomes a DNB, or if it is just MD, reduce 2 or 3 years. Okay, so that's his qualification. Okay, and that's the qualification in his field. I won't say in the super qualification. Everyone has a super qualification in their own fields. Whereas now one more thing is the doctor, when he has to practice, he requires a license. Retailer, when he has to practice, he requires a license. Distributor and the stockist also require license, maybe. So various types of licenses are required. But a medical rep who has a dialogue with the doctor, who meets the doctor, he doesn't require a license. And that is one of the distinctiveness, okay, that perhaps is extremely very different when compared to the other industries. You have a doctor who is minimum MD nowadays, or a DM or a DNB, or you have a medical rep who is not necessarily he has to be a doctor, okay? But yes, if he has a knowledge about the drug formulations, or if he has a knowledge about the therapies, or if he has a knowledge on disease management, and if he's able to speak the doctor's language, certainly he has a clear-cut edge over his, I would say, over his colleagues who are in the same profession. If this is so, why is it? And this is a clear-cut edge he has, because when I was into sales and marketing, I always preferred to select a person as a medical representative who is a B Farm, and it still happens today. But if that is so, why is it that this profession today is not preferred by the B Farms or maybe by the M Farms? Why is it so? This, according to me, is because of the mental. Of course, I'm going to spend time on this. This, according to me, is basically the mental position or the mental positioning that has been created by many of the pharmacy students, which has created in their own minds a negativity or a negative perception of this profession. You can see few of the points which I have noted down on the slide. They are at random. They are not necessarily connected to each other. But yes, today in the society, when I did my graduation and I got into this profession, during that time, yes, the most preferred qualification or a career, I won't say qualification, yes, a qualification or a career was either to be an engineer or to be a doctor or to be a chartered accountant. More or less, that continues to be the same today, but an exception means few more professions, few more qualifications have joined this bandwagon, and that is your, perhaps you can say, AI, or maybe big data, or maybe digitalization. So okay, so these are also nowadays the preferred professions or the preferred qualifications which a student wants to seek after 12th standard. So be it engineering, be it medicine, be it CA, be it nowadays maybe big data or maybe AI. So these are 4 to 5 professions where an average Indian student from a middle class family earns to join this profession, because as per the society, it gives them a social status. That's number one. And even today, B Farm is an extremely elite qualification, according to me. It is an extremely good qualification, according to me. It's quite an elite qualification, whether you have chosen to be a B Farm graduate, either by choice or maybe because you didn't have a choice, whatever it is, whatever is your reasoning or whatever is the situation, it is still an elite profession. Because it is considered as an elite profession, there is a possibility you may consider or you may have a thought in your mind, well, a medical rep job has a low self-esteem in the society. Possibly, partly, I agree with you, that is a possibility. I agree with you. Secondly, maybe perhaps you wanted to be a doctor, but due to some unfortunate situations or whatever is yours, whatever other causes, you do not want to be in a position where you go and meet a doctor and move from door to door and pleading for business and pleading for prescriptions, where at times the waiting time is very high. You have to wait to meet, a medical rep has to wait to meet a doctor, and maybe at times for half an hour is very common, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, and even then the refusals are very, very common. That's also a reason, and that is true. I'm not saying it's not true, it is true. Today, due to certain conditions, yes, medical rep at times is considered an unwelcome, I won't say guest is always welcome, an unwelcome person in the doctor's waiting room. True. That's also true. If you go into the rural markets, they are called as agents. And I think when we are qualified and when we're from an extremely good institute, we don't want to have the label of an agent. So that's also true. Okay. So it causes embarrassment. Okay. And that's also very true. So this, according to me, is a mental positioning, partly true, partly untrue. It depends on how you really take it up. Other reason, according to me, is the huge family pressure that we have. A huge pressure that we have from academicians. A huge pressure that we have from our extended family. One of the things which is extremely common, which I have seen in the Indian families, and a lot of data is available, a lot of research has also taken place, is that your parents, more or less, there would be exceptions, and I'm not talking about the exceptions. You get benchmarked either with your real brother, or maybe with your cousins, or maybe with your neighbors, or maybe with your neighbor who is pursuing his academics either in engineering or in medicine or in CA or in big data or in so-called reputed institutes like maybe IITs or IIMs. Okay, so for the family, that's a status symbol to say my son is from IIT or IIM or he's doing this. The family members or the parents do not feel pride to say that, my son is a medical rep. Am I right? Do you agree?
Absolutely, sir.
Do all of you, any students, do you agree? Professors,
Yes,
yeah, professors, do you agree? Even if you're a professor and even if you're a PhD, you would not like with pride to say that my son or my daughter is a medical rep. So that's a huge family pressure that we have, and I really experienced that. I experienced this because I chose to be a medical representative because my friends were medical representatives. Of course, I am not a B Farm to talk to you about B Farm. I'm a BSc Physics. I did get admission in MSc Physics in UD City. I didn't want to pursue that. And I was extremely charmed by my friends who were medical representatives. And I joined a company. That time, multinational companies were more common than the Indian companies. So I landed up with GSK. And my parents were wild with me. I think every day, if I'm not mistaken, they used to scold at me. They used to look down at me. And I really prayed to Glaxo ki, Bhaiya, please give me a headquarter which is not Bombay. And coincidentally, I went to Jabalpur. Okay, so why? Because my father was a professor, my mother was a teacher, my sister had done her MSc Micro, and she also landed up in the teaching profession in the academic position. So this is considered as a blue collar job. It is not a white collar job. Very unfortunately, many of the B Farm students, even given good graduates from extremely good institutes, they consider this as a last choice. I do not know why. Okay, but they consider it as a last choice. This is perhaps they have put up this job or they have put up this career in a particular hierarchy, maybe medical, engineering, CAs, or whatever it is at the top, or maybe institutes like IITs or your institute, or maybe IIMs are at the top and others professions or the institutes are at the lower end. But okay, this has happened because perhaps Indian society is hierarchical in nature, so that would be the reason, according to me. So it has, it has really gathered a lot of negativity. This profession has gathered negativity amongst the middle class families, amongst the elite institutes, amongst the so-called elite people. It has this negativity. Yes, partly I agree with you, but that is not the true picture. I'm going to come ahead. Let's see what comes ahead. Another thing, why the students fear, there is a dominant fear in the students, because when you join as a medical rep, you're not joining a staff position, you're joining a line function, and you're joining operations. Okay, so basically, when you get into corporate job, you have something like a staff function, you have something like a line function, and sales, marketing, finance, maybe your maybe supply chain management. Okay, they come under the line function. They come under operations. Okay, the rest of the functions, they get into the staff function. When you get into the sales function, when you get into the marketing function, you have target to achieve every month, period. You're judged by the results that you produce. You're not judged by the effort that you put. And achieving the target month after month, being on target every month, is absolutely a challenge. It creates huge anxiety. It creates a lot of stress, which creates insecurities. Perhaps that would be one of the reason, are sales karna, I don't want to join this profession. Okay, and I don't know whether I have it in me to produce the results month after month, because even if you do not produce the results for 4 to 5 months, 3 to 5 months, absolutely insecurities do creep in. Okay, because every organization has a revenue target, and the revenue target are achieved by the operations and not by the staff. Those functions which fall into the staff, they are there to support the operations. They're there to support the line functions. Okay, so the demands on operations are extremely high. So perhaps that would be one of the reasons why you consider, well, not for me. Okay, now slightly going into the history, I would like to tell you why this is happening today. What is the shift that has taken place? Number one, I'm talking about, let me go back to the late 70s, maybe 79, 80, and the early 80s, 80, 81, 82. During that point of time, medical rep was considered to be a very elite job. It is still elite according to me, but that time in a society, it was considered to be a very elite job. Okay, and they contributed to the knowledge of the doctors, and because they were the people who shifted, who carried the knowledge from the pharmaceutical companies on the pharmacokinetics, on the pharmacodynamics, on the entire formulation, and gave it to the doctor. Not only that, even the latest developments which were happening in the disease management, the latest developments which were happening in the therapeutic management, those knowledge, those uh, those those knowledge pieces were given by the medical representatives to the doctors. And getting a job of a medical rep was not easy during that time. You had to go through group discussions, you had to go through written examinations, you had to go through interviews, which were very tough. The training was also very tough, extremely grueling training for around minimum 45 days in most of the companies. A few companies would be around 35, 38 days. Standard average was 45 days. And many people who were not able to successfully complete the training were told to leave. They were not taken ahead. If you consider today the doctors do not look at medical representatives as who will share with them a piece of knowledge. Not really. They do not have a dialogue with the doctors. They don't have much dialogues with the doctor. Not on disease management, not on therapeutic management, perhaps very less on product. It happens on the product knowledge, but with slightly less. And the training program have also shrunk maybe from 45 days to 14 days to 10 days, whatever it is. I remember, I'll just tell you I'll just give you an anecdote. I remember as I'm talking to you, when I was a medical rep, basically I was based in Jabalpur, and one of our senior representatives during that time who was in Jabalpur, who was working with the pharma division. I was with the Ellen Berries division. Once or twice he took me on to the X station. Next of Jabalpur, during that time, there were small towns like Narsinghpur, Kareli, Gadarwara. We used to take a passenger at 5 or 5:30 morning passenger we used to take. Then it used to reach Narsinghpur, then it used to reach Kareli, Gadarwara, and the train used to end get terminated at Itarsi. Yeah, Itarsi. During those times, okay, that was somewhere in 82, 83 or somewhere around that time. This was a passenger, and Anand Garg used to send a postcard to the doctors that I'm traveling by so-and-so train. My train is going to reach at Narsinghpur so-and-so. So he used to send letters to the doctors, a postcard to the doctors. And of course, he used to travel first class. I used to travel first class. Most of the companies compelled us to travel by first class and not by second class, because we had a particular status during that time in the society. And Anand Garg used to inform him what time the train is reaching Narsinghpur, Kareli, Gadarwara. And believe me, the doctors used to come at the Narsinghpur railway station. They used to wait in the waiting room, and Anand Garg, because it was an Anand Garg, used to detail them the product and give them the samples of the product. We used to troop back into the same train. It was a passenger train. It was to stop for around minimum half an hour or minimum 35 to 40 minutes during that point of time. Then our train used to reach Kareli, and the doctors were there in the waiting room waiting for him. I used to just accompany him just to learn, and then to Gadarwara. And by the time the train used to reach Gadarwara, it used to be somewhere around 2 or 2:30. I really do not remember, maybe around 1:30 to 2:30. We used to get down and we used to take another train and come back to Jabalpur. So that was the time. Because that was the time when medical rep shared the knowledge with the latest knowledge and the latest development with the doctors. Today, you don't expect that to happen, and that is not happening today. Let's look into the reasons. The reasons are there has been a change in the social structure of the medical fraternity, and also a big change has been brought by technology. Technology, as you are aware, is a great leveler, absolutely a great leveler according to me. Now, what were the social structures which developed over a period of time, and how over a period of time the role of medical rep as a contributor to knowledge diminished? Medical rep is still a very important pillar in pharmaceutical sales and marketing, but his role as a contributor to knowledge diminished because the various social structures developed in the medical fraternity over a period of time. I'm saying from late 80s until today. The local conferences started happening, regional conferences started happening, national conferences started happening in India. Even in India, international conferences were taking place, and the dependency of the doctors on the medical rep and on the pharmaceutical companies to seek knowledge reduced. That was happening. And at the same time, you have technology and the net which came. And the doctors now today have the information at the press of the button. So certainly, the role of medical rep as a contributor to knowledge diminished. At the same time, what was happening in the pharmaceutical market or the pharmaceutical industry, where the sectoral structural changes were taking place because of the government policies. India is a branded generic market. You have one molecule and you have 40 companies marketing it in India. Absolutely 40 companies. You have one molecule, one new molecule coming, and in a span of 2 to 3 months, you have 35 to 40 pharmaceutical companies marketing the same drug with a different brand name. That's the branded generic market. No pharmaceutical company is dominant. Sun Pharmaceuticals has not more than market share of not more than 7% on an average. Easy entry, easy exit. If you are aware about the Michael Porter's framework, it's extremely easy to start business in this pharmaceutical domain, and exit is very easy. To start a company, you don't have to have a manufacturing unit. You can get it manufactured from third party. Low investments. I have my colleagues, my regional managers, my sales managers who have now started their pharmaceutical company. Even today, few of my colleagues have started few of my juniors have started a pharmaceutical company with a very low investment of just around 20 lakhs. That's it. So easy entry. Entry is very easy. And business-friendly environment by the government. That is what Manas Ranjan Rao spoke to you about. So it has created a very fierce and intense competition. And because it has a fierce and intense competition, though the role of medical rep as a knowledge source has reduced, pharmaceutical companies badly want to have a medical rep who can talk the doctor's language and who has much more soft skills which are required. So how the focus has shifted? The focus has shifted from a dominant scientific skills, like just plain medical knowledge, which I had. Okay, after 45 days of training and after intermediate training, extremely good scientific knowledge. Extremely good scientific knowledge. Let me tell you, we used to teach the doctors. But today, what is required is scientific skills plus the skills to develop relationships. You should have a selling skill. You should know how to develop relationships. It is just not an electricity button on and off. It takes time. And yes, as Manas Ranjan Raut has rightly said, you require some good technological skills. You have to be tech savvy because the doctors will keep you asking what to do this, how to use this platform. Do you know how to use this platform? I know some of the doctors used to ask me, Atul, I am having this difficulty in Microsoft Excel. Will you please explain me how to do it? And he used to open his Microsoft Sheets and he used to ask me, Atul, what do I do this? What do I do this? How do I do this? Some of the doctors asked me how to do, of course, now everyone knows, but during those times, how to do the PPT. So this basic common technological skills is what is required today. You should know how to develop the relationships. You should have a good selling skills, and over and above, you also require scientific skills. So the job really has become extremely challenging. It can create a nervous breakdown. It can create a feeling of insecurity. So that is what happens. So what is really required is one of the most important things that is required in this profession is, are you mentally tough? Absolutely important. To a certain extent, perhaps you require a thick skin. You should be able to withstand and you should be able to manage refusals. At times, initially, till you prove yourself, there is a possibility your distributor may insult you. कैसे कहते हैं? But you're not bringing business and you want orders, how it is possible? Whoever is your distributor in whichever part of India, he will use a slang, absolutely slang. You should be able to withstand it. You should be able to you will be ignored, not only by your family members, till you bring the business. actually give the results, you will be also ignored by your supervisors and by your bosses. And of course, indifference all around. Are you mentally tough to seek these challenges? Do you have qualities like perseverance, patience, presence of mind? And let me tell you, this profession, this job can really take you places. First 1 year, first 2 years, first 3 years would be very, very tough for you. Not 3 years, first 1 year and 2 years are very tough, because I see people who adapt themselves to the situation extremely fast. Those who are able to adapt, those who are able to change, those who are able to withstand refusals, insults, indifference, they really can go places. Okay. And what I really propose to you all, my dear students, is consider this job for the first 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, that it is certainly something like a paid course, absolutely paid course for you, my dear friends. You get paid and you learn a lot. You learn a lot compared to the good management institutes. I'm saying so because I'm also a faculty in various management institutes. Believe me, you get paid and you learn a lot. What do you learn? You just do not see in management institutes, you learn impersonal case studies, but what you learn here is hands-on experience, management skills, how to manage the customers, the business skills, how to get business when you don't have anything, when you have limited resource, you're all by yourself. Your boss is there only for 3 to 4 days. And how to really encounter the challenging situations. Next. Yeah.
थोड़ा सा सर एक्सेलरेट करें.
Okay, sure. I will do it. It's about to close. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Give me 5 minutes. Another thing is leadership skills. You learn a lot when you watch your bosses with their leadership skills. How to use initiatives, what is the positivity required, what are the desired behaviors required. It's not like a management school where you just watch the video clips or just read the case studies. Here you see it happening in front of your eyes and you learn a lot. My greatest learning has been when I was in the field as a medical rep and as a field manager. When I compare to my management institutes, my greatest learnings have been over there. And this is what you learn and you get paid for that. And more important is you learn self-management, initiative, discipline, duties, ethics, morals. Okay, how do you manage yourself? So extremely important. So you can have a vertical growth. Right from a medical representative, you can become a business head. You can be a cluster head. You can manage small, medium, and big teams. You manage top line. You manage the middle line. You manage the profitability. Hugely, you manage teams. You can get into brand management in the pharmaceutical companies, maybe from a product executive, product manager to a marketing manager. Launch different type of products. Revive old products. What do you manage? Market shares, brand growth, brand profitability. But for all these things, one thing that is required is experience as a medical rep, because this job is very unique. This industry is very unique compared to other sectors. You can get into a corporate strategy as well. Lateral growth, you can easily get into supply chain. Marketing research, you have Manas Ranjan Raut as a living example in front of you. You can get into MIs, you can get into learning and OD. Most of the time here, if you have a medical rep experience and a managerial experience and a man management experience, you are really preferred, believe me. Of course, you have to continue to upgrade your skills and knowledge. Last 1 or 2 slides, which will really make you think, just not because I'm talking, is you can start your own startup. Before that, these are some of the examples which I'm giving you of well-established pharma companies. These are the people who started their career as medical representatives. Ramesh Juneja from Mankind, he was my contemporary in Lupin. Okay. Torrent has been started by Uttam Bhai Mehta, Lupin by Deshbandhu Gupta, Sun by Dilip Bhai Shangvi, and even recently La Renon by Pankaj Sharma, Aris by Amit Bakshi. Well-established companies. Few more companies. My last slide is this. These are the people whom I all know. Even I think in the previous slide, I know extremely very well Ramesh Bhai Juneja. I have been in Sun for years as well. Deshbandhu Gupta, I was in Lupin also, so I have interacted with him. And these are the people who were all medical representatives who have started their own companies, and they're doing extremely well. My junior Ashutosh Vajpayee, Rajneesh Kapoor, Mahendra Varman, see, all these people were medical representatives. They have their own pharmaceutical companies today. They are doing business in crores, and they have employed people. They have employed management students. They start employing people from good management students, and they are entrepreneurs. And many of them would be getting, or some of them are getting funds from the venture capitalists. So extremely good career. So what I want to tell you, and what I would like to end is, you have various alternatives available. I want you to consider this profession as an excellent alternative. Let me tell you, this profession is very good. Highs are very high. The lows are very low, very safe. And I promise you, you will enjoy this profession. Absolutely, you will enjoy this profession. So with this, I would like to close my presentation. I think I took some more time, and Manas was good enough to remind me. So I slightly curtailed my talk. So I would like to stop sharing this. And I'm sure many of the students will be having these questions as what they would, how they would like to take it ahead.
Anybody has students? Anybody has any question? To put
in the chat box, you have any questions in the chat box?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yes, sir, there is one question.
Yeah, who is this?
Yeah, my name is Shashi Shekhar Singh, sir. I'm
Yeah.
B Pharma final year student.
Right.
So, sir, if B Pharma is so valued and it is a key player for marketing and sales and marketing, so why they are undervalued when it comes to the salary portion?
2 points. I don't think it is undervalued. I think this is a very wrong impression that we carry. It is undervalued. Okay, let me give you an example. Anyone who joins today as a medical representative in good companies, you take top 25 companies or take top 30 companies, if I'm not mistaken, the starting salary is somewhere around 3 to 3.5 lakhs. That's the starting salary. Apart from that, you have, I'm not considering the incentives. I'm not considering the other perks as well. But the starting salary is around 3 to 3.5 lakhs. And whoever it is, either it is a B Pharm or it is a BSc or it is a BA. So suppose I join as a medical representative in Sun Pharmaceuticals. I may be B Pharm, my colleagues would be BA, someone would be BCom or BSc. All of them would get the same salary. So there is no, what should I say? There is no bias over there. It's not distinguished. So that is the salary level according to me. Then you have extremely good incentives. So see, what really happens is, Shashi, is normally we feel that if I'm a B Pharm, I should be treated much more better compared to BSc or compared to BA or compared to BCom. I think that that thinking, according to me, is not right. It is inappropriate thinking. Anyone who joins as a medical rep, they are given equal treatment, same treatment, and that's extremely is good according to me, Mr. Shashi.
Can I add to sir's thing with your kind permission, sir? Shashi, if I understand correctly, it depends on the company to companies. I mean to say, I think Ashok Shah is still with us in the platform. He can add more value to it. It all depends when you are going to be appeared in the interviews. I mean, I have seen people picked up as a fresher with B Pharm plus MBA as a medical representative at a tune of 7 to 8 lakhs also. The companies like Eli Lilly, who has picked up few of my last interns, which we did in a premier institute like your stature. But to the best of my knowledge, perks does not stop over there. If you get into the industry now, if you talk about market research and consulting, the perks are in a higher side in the starting. But the growth perspective, what I have observed, is not that great when you are going to the market research and consulting in the long run. But if you are a part of the sales or you are part of marketing, sky's the limit for you. You never thought of the salary perks and you are going to get in the future. And if you are a performer, the incentive which is going to be adding to your bracket, which will be much, much more. Apart
one
from
more.
your salary.
Yeah, one more thing, Manas. See, Shashi, try to one thing. See what I have seen, my experience in the pharmaceutical companies, and of course my experience, which I come to know from various other industries. The person, my experience is, if you are extremely doing a good job as a medical representative within 3 years, if you're really good within first 3 years, you are likely to get a promotion as a manager, and you have 5 to 6 people reporting to you. Very good. If you do good, you have another 2 years or 3 years, you get a good promotion as a regional manager, and you start contributing not only in compliance, not only in execution of the strategies. You start playing a very important role in strategizing for the entire region, and that happens in a span of around say 5 to 6 years. And as you rise up, the rise is very rapid in sales and marketing in pharmaceuticals, and also in other companies. I'm not saying only pharmaceuticals, also in FMCGs and all. It's very, very fast. Because I may have a bias, I do not know, but according to me, operation people are always more valued than the staff people. Number one. And number two, most of the presidents in the sales and marketing, or the vice presidents, or even many of the presidents in the pharmaceutical company today I'm only talking about pharmaceuticals here because that's the platform. All of them have come from sales and marketing. Many of the marketing managers have been into sales. So, okay, maybe initially very tough. Yes, very tough initially, extremely tough. More tough because the parents don't value. Let me put it very upfront. Because there is very less support from the parents for their children to become medical rep. That becomes slightly, the person really cringes. That's number one. Number two, the negativity which has spread. Okay, why the B Farm is not? B Farm is valued if you contribute. Just you have a degree, and if you're not able to contribute, I don't think anyone will value. Anyone in an organization will really value your degree. So this is my opinion, Shashi. It's slightly contrary to what you say, what you think.
Just to ask one more thing, sir, there is no such difference in the college. Like, if we talk about MBA, if students are getting MBA from IM, they are having a different package. Okay, if we are talking students are getting out of BTech from top IIT, so they are getting a different package. But in pharmacy, if you are getting out from Jamia, or you are getting out from MIT, you are getting the same package. There is no such difference in the ranking of institution. There is no such priority. So why is it so? Because
yeah, Shashi, I think we are comparing apples and oranges. Number one. Number two is you are talking about a career in pharmaceutical sales and marketing. Okay, I'm not talking about a career in IT industry. I'm not talking a career in FMCG industry, or I'm not talking whether a IIT guy or a B Farm guy, or maybe a person from IM is joining a consultancy company. We are not talking about that. Absolutely, we are talking about pharmaceutical sales and marketing. Even if a person is from IIT, and even if a person is from IM, or even if a person is from B Farm, and if they opt for this profession of medical rep, these are the salaries you have. These are the salaries. And let me tell you, we have in Sun Pharmaceuticals, in Ranpexi, we have engineers who joined us. And today they're doing extremely well. They're today regional managers, they're today national sales managers, and they're enjoying the profession. I'm not saying engineers from IIT, no. I'm saying engineers from regional colleges, few engineers from regional colleges, few from the local engineering colleges. Mr. Shashi, they did join. But yes, was the salary different because they were engineers? No, all of them got the same salary. There is something like parity, there's something like uniformness in an organization. I can't, no organization will pay an engineer more and B Farm more compared to BSc and BA, because that's a bias. That's against the ethics, and that's against the morals of a company. So there's something like parity, which Mr. Shashi is, every organization practices that.
Sure, I think we should stop the question and answer center. Probably you can get in touch with Atul Hadaf sir to get more insight, because we have two more speakers lined up, and timeline is short. So thank you so much, Sasi. Kanika, I think probably will answer your question in the last. The question is the foreign languages in usefulness in pharma. Mandarin Chinese known as the business language, but German is also a great impact in the field of science and technology. And Spanish, just to give this answer in a very short, because I was part of the international business for quite some time in Africa and Germany. So it's all where you are going to be. I mean, you are heading towards China, then probably Mandarin will be the best choice. If you are heading towards Europe or maybe Latin America, then probably German will be the Spanish will be the language of choice. So it all depends. So we cannot say which is the best, which is not the best. So English is the best. I can say you that if your communication is best in parity with US Americans and Europeans, then sir is smiling. Charu sir was in US, so he can easily correlate it. So we can answer those questions with this. I think thank you so much, Atul sir, for your nice insights. We could have speak more, but I think Charudat sir is waiting to attend his OPD. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear students, let me welcome you. Welcome Dr. Charudat Arora sir, as our third speaker to the platform. So I'll not spend more time by introducing him because he's one of the leading professional, and within a span of 2 to 3 years, he has immense growth in his career. Starting, I know Charu sir since W. Pratiksha days when he was head of intensive care unit. Today he is head of intensive care unit for Asian Institute, and he's not only heading the ICU intensive care unit of Asian Institute, but also the healthcare at home department of Ameri Health. So coming from the background, he's a practicing doctor. He's a practicing doctor, and lot of insights he's carrying with him in terms of from the healthcare industry per se. So I like to invite Dr. Charudat Arora sir to say a few insights to the students and the industry people. Over to you, Charu sir.
Thank you so much, Manas. Kindly let me know if I'm audible and clear.
Absolutely, sir. Loud and clear.
Sure.
Thank you so much. So first of all, thank you so much, Manas, for such a kind introduction. I'm very, very pleased to be here, and a special thanks to Dr. Babita Jikataria, ma'am, the entire Jamia Hamdard University, and Professor Alam, Vice Chancellor, sir, for giving me this opportunity.
You're welcome.
Saturday afternoons are one of the toughest, and I don't want to go ahead with any presentation. Manas's and Mr. Harap's presentation were so detailed and so consolidated, as I could say, that they almost covered the entire 2 days of summit. And with their experiences combined, I think that takes people say stalwarts or leaders. I think these two people have completed the entire revolutionizing the entire post-COVID reforms in India. So I'm going to talk about coming from a background. Yeah, please.
Your voice is a bit breaking. Is it to me or everyone?
Yeah, it is to we are also same. So it has happened.
Is it better?
Everyone, sir.
Yeah. Abhi acha aa raha hai, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, when we talk about coming from a background of healthcare, 6 years in healthcare industry in India, practicing infectious diseases and intensive care, I finally, decided to kind of move from the conventional medical background to a little unconventional strategy of providing healthcare at home. Why was that required? Because during my training in the United States, there was a time when I was visiting a health facility outside the hospital, which was providing similar competency, similar efficacy, better results, and better care, less infections to a geriatric population. And I could actually relate that if my grandmother, who's 93 at that time in India, was to get a similar kind of a facility or similar kind of a care, will she be, getting it in India? And my answer to my surprise, or to everyone's surprise, was no, because healthcare in India has been very conventional. It has been dominated by the practitioners. It has been dominated by public and private hospitals. And very little has been done when we talk about holistic approach at home. And my entire talk in the next 15 to 20 minutes will be divided into three categories. The first will be healthcare reforms in India post-COVID, as in what to expect. The second portion of the talk depends upon how has the Indian scenario changed. And the third and the concluding portion will be the boost of the telemedicine and the home healthcare professional services. That's where my specialization lies in. Now, if I talk about post-COVID healthcare reform, why is it so important that we are even we are actually putting 2 days of time in understanding the post-COVID era? Is because coronavirus pandemic, I still remember 2020 March, my first patient came from Italy, and it has overwhelmed the health systems of the countries all over the world like no other in, I think, in modern memory. I'm a very young doctor, so I'm sure others would also relate to me. Students would also understand that we used to remember before Christ and after death, and now we have something pre-COVID and post-COVID. So, but a lot of countries, almost every country in the world got so affected, and the healthcare, and the health system was so overburdened, was so overwhelmed with so much unprecedented changes that happened that we had to make a lot of changes, and a single virus could actually expose a lot of fault lines in different public health systems, including ours. But at the same time, when we think about the pandemic, it actually opened a useful window of opportunity to undertake certain public health reforms which were long due. The countries which took these reforms early were able to manage in a better way, such as South Korea, because their commitments to the healthcare were much better than ours or other countries. And that's why I still remember that one of my fellow infectious disease specialists working in South Korea said, "Oh, we're never gonna have a second wave." And here we were struggling with almost 3 lakh cases per day. That is April 2021. So, there has been three major strategies on public health reforms in the post-COVID, which actually depend upon upheaval, path dependencies, and transformation. During a research study, we came to a point that similar kind of a post-war, the post-Second World War, NHS was formed in 1948. That was also one of the upheaval and transformation strategies, because in the UK, there were years of resistance. It was a fragmented healthcare system, very partial. There was no taxing. It was a complete cash financing. And later on, in 1948, we found NHS, which was a completely universal tax-financed healthcare system. Similarly, after the foreign exchange crisis of 1997, South Korea became one of the very strong leaders in health transformation program that we call as an HTP. So my dad always tells me that it's the necessity of the crises or the shocks which actually pushes somebody for a change, which often always, but not always, arises for a better change, for a progressive perpetuation and consolidation. And health systems, for my knowledge, are no different. Each development, along the path, take chances of further development along the same path. Then there's a reinforcement of the path, and then a new one is developed or created. So when we talk about changes in the public health reform that happened post-COVID, was mainly in digitalization, as Manas also had put up about the Niti Aayog, the digital healthcare sector. When we think about how has the COVID-19 impacted on the Indian healthcare sector particularly, there has been a strong way of development how India has progressed in the healthcare advancement. And it's still growing at a very brisk pace. And if we see there are two major care holders, one being the public sector and the other being the private provider. When I talk about the public sector, we still think about, at a universal coverage, or maybe we think about a community level health program, primary care, preventive care, primordial care, which still takes you to an advertisement that talks about, decreasing the maternal morbidity and mortality. The new advertisement which is going around the country is how every 56 seconds, three deaths are reported in India because of maternal morbidity and mortality. And that's where the role of people who come from a little lower socioeconomic strata are given an opportunity to go to their nearest primary healthcare center. But even in the public sector, when you talk about secondary and tertiary care, we have medical colleges, district centers, community healthcare centers, and they are providing good enough health facilities for our population. But the private sector is actually largely dependent, and it's mainly concentrated in our tier 1 and tier 2 cities. When you talk about Delhi, Ahmedabad, all these mega cities, Gurgaon, Faridabad, you talk about Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, they are completely saturated with so much of private healthcare facilities. And that's why there's a lot of disparity, which is leading to a challenge of an equitable, accessible, and quality healthcare when you compare it geographically within the country. The national health policies have definitely developed, but after COVID, the universal health coverage, the COVID app, the Arogya Setu app, they have created a huge impact on how things work out in the healthcare industry. When we talk about COVID per se, Indian private healthcare industry was kind of shaken up, but it still took a stand because private hospitals per se were the primary, they were the primary investors who were involved in kind of getting all the medical equipments, controlling and preventing the infections, getting all the suitable medical supplies, and also the additional workforce which was required. Because despite all of us had a sharp decline in medical tourism, we had almost 40 to 60% OPD waiting area which was empty during the as per the government advisory throughout the last 2 years. But still, we found that the private sector, the hospitals, were contributing to almost 60% of the COVID inpatient care. And in order to kind of manage the outbreak, the Indian government also leveraged a lot of technology and developed various applications at state and central government levels, central levels. One of the biggest examples is Arogya Setu. I still remember the first day when we heard about Arogya Setu. Oh, they said there's going to be a virus hack, or it's going to be getting into your internet, or it's going to get into your Gmail and GPay and this and that. But when you talk about it, it actually helped in syndromic assistance, contact tracing, self-assessment. It was one-stop shop for response management. It kind of helped in delivery of all the essential items in containment zones, teleconsultation with patients, bed management, timely monitoring and reviewing by the authorities, and whatnot. A single app could change a complete healthcare dynamic. That's the power of digitalization. And although there were so many initial hiccups, the healthcare in India managed to withstand the pandemic. Whether those were, Anas can actually put it across very beautifully about almost 40 to 50 industries which have developed. And these are verticals, not even industry, they are verticals, whether those are medical equipment, disposables, drugs. India has not only been fulfilling their domestic requirements, but been a global leader and rose to the occasion to help other countries. Vaccination, India's world's largest vaccination drive, 179 crore people vaccinated against coronavirus vaccine. I think that's laudable. I think that's an investment opportunity which looks so promising to a lot of people. And if I'm not wrong, I think 13 companies are already in the process of vaccine development and research. But why was this change required? I think the change was required because any kind of a problem leads to a lot of teething issues and leads to introspection on where we are lacking. As compared to where we are or where we were, we are still spending a very, very minuscule amount of our money, of country's GDP on healthcare. The WHO requires 9 doctors per 10,000 people. And we are at 1/40th of that requirement. We have 40 beds for 1 lakh people. That's a pathetic hospital inpatient bed ratio, and which is extremely which is extremely sad, because the gap is worse in the suburban and the rural parts of the country. But the prognosis is positive. And that is the best part, because when we talk about better healthcare awareness, rise in incomes, increased access to insurance, lifestyle-related diseases, I think the Indian healthcare market is expected to rise and it's reached 372 billion USD dollars by 2022 this year. The Indian government this year is spending 2.65% of its GDP, and it aims to increase by 3.5 by 2025. It has not only transformed, the virus has not only transformed the way government and private players are planning to bring change, it has also been instrumental in bringing other major players or major big market, big fish like telemedicine or National Digital Health Mission or home healthcare services, e-pharmacy, digi-doctor services into play. The importance has changed. The importance has changed from cure to well-being. And that is the purpose of this talk. Immunity is the word of the season. Health is the word of the season. Nobody talks about antibiotics so much, but people still want to talk about detoxification. That is a difference. The way our psyche has changed. I have patients now who are not really worried about their abdominal pain, but they're actually worried about whether their liver is fine or not, whether their immunity is good or not, whether they will catch an infection or not. So they're actually worried about well-being. They're worried about indoor air pollution. They're worried about air purifiers in their homes. They're worried about whether the vegetables that they're getting, Dr. Saab, how should we clean them up? Is there any product that tells us that the milk is good or not? That is called investing in well-being at both personal as well as system level. And this virus has ushered in an era of digital and technological innovations and advancements that is expected to help communities fulfill those requirements at a much faster pace. In a nutshell, talking about the second portion, how the COVID has impacted the healthcare, public health, well-being are the two important areas where people have started investing. Of course, manpower, skill gap still remains major issues and improvement in the public-private partnership and participation, improvement in healthcare, educational facilities, they remain top priority for any kind of for creating a robust and collaborative ecosystem. But at the same time, when I talk about how has major players of telemedicine and home healthcare services boosted with the pandemic, India's infrastructure still in the semi-urban and the rural areas, there is a 76.1% shortage of doctors. And that's where you guys come into play, the students come into play, because if you are trained to a level of managing a primary problem, of managing a primordial issue, and escalate it to the right concerned authority at the right time, there is a huge benefit of saving lives. I am proud to say that the department that I head for Asian Hospital, we have 70% of the people who are from, I wouldn't say non-medical, but I would say non-MBBS background. Because the department with a turnover of almost touching 5 CR is run by pharmacists and is run by field executives who have been trained by doctors to manage to manage patients at home with their primary problems. My pharmacy graduates can actually manage diabetic complications. They are not writing any prescriptions. They are escalating the required issue to me. They are escalating the required issues to the nursing supervisor. And that's how they become a bridge for me. The Indian home healthcare market was present even before COVID. When we talk about healthcare at home, the Dabur group, the Burman group, they started out way back in 2011 when I was even a student. But now professional institutions, hospitals, private giants have put in money to understand that their patients are going home because of financial issues. They are unable to get the care they want at the hospital. And that's why the patients are not getting better. They're coming back in a worse state, because the entire ecosystem of home healthcare market is very unorganized, or used to be very unorganized. But this virus created such a huge change, because from a $6.2 billion market in 2020, home healthcare market is going to be $21.3 billion market in 2027. So this steep rise includes not only managing patients at home, but providing services that can manage the entire families holistically. Disposable income, increased geriatric population. I don't find healthcare any different from retail or entertainment or maybe fooding, I don't know. There must be like 80 people on this webinar right now. 70 to 80%, I'm very sure, would not have visited a restaurant in the last 2 weeks or maybe 2 years. Since the time Zomato and Swiggy, everybody gets their delicious food at their doorstep. And it's not about calling a restaurant and asking for delivery. Nobody even knows the name of the restaurant anymore. They just pick the Zomato, see what's happening, and get it done. What's the difference in healthcare? It's much more it's much more comprehensive. It's definitely life-saving, but having a very identified software, hardware, open source technologies. My company has even a patented Zoom camera. I provide a reliable internet service where my patients are admitted in the home. I provide a real-time video conferencing platform. We have specially trained critical care nurses who are better than, if not better, than from the hospitals. A physiotherapist who is round the clock available for any kind of an injury or managing any kind of any kind of an emergency. So such kind of an ICU intensivist, experience in remote care monitoring, telemedicine. We have monthly outpatient. Now we are planning to even plan a holiday with our patients so that they feel home, because the kids are outside their country, they are alone, and geriatric patients require more care than any cure. So one of my patients, I remember one of my patients during the second wave called me after she got better. She was like, Dr. Saab, my husband got admitted in the hospital and his bill was 80,000 rupees for 3 days. And I was under you at home and my bill was 700 rupees a day. It's a 60 to 70% decrease in cost. Again, I'm reinforcing the fact, home healthcare is not an alternative to hospitalization. It is not even a substitute to hospitalization. It is called a synergy. It is a supplement. If you do not take your balanced diet with food, water, fiber, you gotta take an A to Z multivitamin, right? So if you're unable to reach the hospital, then the hospital is able to reach to you. The doctor is able to come to you. The chest X-ray can be done at home. Any kind of injury can be managed at home. Hospitalization means a loss of independence. Every person likes to choose their time to rise from the bed, sleep, eat. That retains confidence in an elderly person. And now there are specialized services post-COVID, whether on the top of the list being any kind of a post-surgery care, tracheostomy care. elderly care, oncology care, patients who are going to die very soon because of cancer. That's called as pain and palliative management. And not only managing patients at home, teleconsultation, home lab testing, medicine delivery, pharmaceuticals, home-based vaccinations. 2021 August, I wrote an article for the Times of India that there are 26.3% of the patients in my territory who are bedridden or stroke or they're alone. They can't reach the nearest vaccination center. And September 21st, we get a reply from the government of India that you can go door to door and vaccinate with COVID vaccine people with a recommendation from a doctor. Until now, we are proud that we have vaccinated more than 10,000 people who required such COVID vaccination who could never reach the hospital. These are the people who are alone at home, who don't have even a caretaker, who don't have anybody, who don't have access to the hospital. And they get vaccine at home under supervision of a nursing staff. India has only 9 beds for 10,000 people, as per the REITs analysis. And 1 nurse for 1,000 patients. We need minimum of 50 nurses for 1,000 patients. Where is this manpower coming from? Very difficult. Very difficult. There's a lack for several. The reason why COVID opened the eyes was because when people were home, they understood the importance of a personalized attention for patients. They remember that the needs are very specific. You can't wear everybody's clothes and attend a wedding, right? You need a bespoke wear. You need a tailored wear. And that's how healthcare should be. There's a high likelihood of catching infections at the hospital. Intensive care costs around 50,000 rupees in a tier 1 and tier 2 cities per day. Is everybody able to manage that? There's a huge demand for a post-operative care, advancement in remote monitoring. Geriatric population is increasing. So chronic problems are increasing. Lifestyle issues are coming in. And all these issues have kind of, along with COVID, have led to the germination of why home care. The answer is very clear. It's because these are specialized services to choose you, to choose your well-being and keep you at the priority. We have even patients who come with muscular dystrophy, who can die any point of time. And their analytics are kept. We have a German-based technology called VIOS, wherein a lot of pharmacy graduates are enrolled. And how we train them is, this system is like a remote monitoring. I can sit in Faridabad and have my patients in Lucknow being monitored 24/7. In my mobile phone, all the 5 major parameters of life, which includes respiratory rate and ECG monitoring, blood pressure, even temperature. I can see if my patient is on the same position for more than 2 hours, because a bedridden patient being in a same position for more than 2 hours leads to a higher risk of developing a pressure ulcer or a bed sore, as you say. And I can actually tell my pharmacy graduate, or as I say, a field executive, that kindly ask the nurse to change the position. It's risky. And that's because there's a complete insight into a patient health, disease state. I can change the treatment line. I can manage an effectiveness of a medication all through one app. But still, awareness and acceptance of technology-based medical services still picking up. But with you guys, there's a penetration of internet, smartphones. Everything is getting better. Now, private hospitals are coming into, earlier they were mainly single players, whether that is Max or Apollo or others. But now, major of the private hospitals are coming in, developing home care. But a dedicated team is very important. Honestly, definitely put in that there's a lot of scope of different, prerogatives of having different kinds of jobs, not only the conventional pharmacy jobs. And Mr. Hadap also put an emphasis on medical representatives. But I think there's a lot of scope in pharmacy graduates for home healthcare and telemedicine services. There's a lot of remote technology which is acting as a new pivot. We are planning to get robotics now. We are planning to get robotics to, there are old age patients who can't manage, who have spasticity in their upper limbs. And now we are planning to get robotic, wherein people who will be trained by us, they'll be visiting homes, they'll be visiting these patients and using these robots to relieve the spasticity. A very wonderful slide by Manas showing what was the importance of AIMS Bhubaneswar in regulating the or starting the telemedicine. But the regulation is very important. E-Sanjeevani is definitely amazing, but follow-up appointments, using proper techniques, not only relying on the history, escalating the problem. Internal medicine and psychiatry can definitely be held, but not surgery. Certain branches are not very compatible with telemedicine. So when I talk about the major prominent players of a home-based care or a digital care model, as we say, it's a supplement to the conventional traditional healthcare. We try to reduce the burden on the medical industry. But since the care happens under our supervision as doctors, both the services must work in tandem for the maximum benefit of the patients. So COVID has definitely opened the eyes to keep hospitals away from overburdened. They shouldn't be unnecessarily overburdened with patients, and beds can be free at the times of crunch for critical patients, because even now hospitals are under tremendous pressure. There are still severe manpower and infrastructural crises and stress. So the future is getting everything at home, having a suitable care plan at home, and eliminate the superficial aspects, get into the care rather than cure, break the bank, or I would say do not break the bank, because medical expenditure needs to be as minimum as possible, but it is not the case when it comes to hospital bills. And for me, I would like to conclude by saying home is where the chart is. So if you feel better at home, get your care at home under your doctor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doctor. Just opening the podium for the questions to be posed to Doctor. Anybody has any questions? I have few questions.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Myself, Mohammad Qadir from Spur Jami Hamdard.
Good
Sir, I
evening.
want to ask one question. Yes, sir. So, will clinical pharmacists get same respect and designation as in Western countries in hospital facilities?
I think that's a very subjective question. When you talk about a clinical pharmacist getting the same respect, it actually depends upon what profile are you working, in the hospital. When we talk about a private hospital, a corporate hospital, wherein a clinical pharmacist is working, there should be no bias. But where we lack as an Indian healthcare sector is that our healthcare sector is still dominated by doctors. Our healthcare sector is still dominated. It's a very doctor-centric sector. We do not, although we should be, we do not believe in having a supportive care plan. I remember that the rounds we used to have in the US, the early morning huddles. We used to give everybody from a social worker to a doctor to a resident medical officer to a pharmacist to a nutritionist to a nursing. Everybody used to make the care plan for the patient, and then we used to have a consolidated approach. But that's not the case in India. Although the situation is changing, and clinical pharmacists is also getting their due respect and pace, but it's still a long way to go, and the profile really matters. I have clinical pharmacists with me who work as my right and left hands 24/7, but I'm not sure about it. That's the case.
Yes, sir. Will Indian doctors entertain this reform in this field of clinical practice? What do you think?
I do not see there's no harm in not accepting it. So there's no harm in accepting it. And yes, there would.
Just to add to Dr. Saab's thing, I think it is going to take some time to become on parity with the US or Western countries, Kadir, Mr. Kadir. So it is going to take some time. So reform never happen overnight. So what, for example, tomorrow government of India will come with a reform that let the pharmacists start prescribing the products. It's already on table. I mean, it's not only pharmacists or nursing staffs also. There are certain prescriptions, OTC drugs where people are expertise about. They're going to start doing. But Mr. Kadir, it is going to take some time to reform the entire thing, changing the doctor prescription practice to the clinical pharmacist practice.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Kadir. Mr. Kadir. Thank you so much. Anybody has any questions? Otherwise, we can. It is a great session, Dr. Charu, and I always enjoy listening to you. You, Dr. Saab, is not only a clinical person, you are a data person
Yet.
always coming from. It's
The same. I was saying that he's a very good database, and I think he's so doing so analysis, great analysis on healthcare and everything. So it is. Thank you so much, Alda sir, for your complete insight. I am also like overwhelmed to listen the things.
So
Thank you so much, Dr. Thank you so much, Manas, and thank you so much all the students for listening. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saab.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So with this, I'd like to invite VK Ashok sir as our next speaker. Talking about VK Ashok sir, he has work experience of around 2 decades, if I understand correctly. Starting his career as a salesperson way back in 2001 with Novartis Specialty Care, and spent around 4 years, approximately 4 years in Novartis. Then last 16 years, he is in Dr. Reddy's lab. And then Ashok sir is handling now from the starting from a salesperson to head Dr. Reddy's super specialty divisions like oncology and hospital business. And to everybody's knowledge, Dr. Reddy's lab is one of the leading company in the oncology space. Probably one of the oldest company in oncology space. And sir is heading that portfolio. He has actually done a tremendous professional thing. And in between, if I understand correctly, sir was heading the COVID portfolio of Dr. Reddy. So with this, I would like to welcome VK Ashok sir to throw some insights about the dynamics which has happened in the past 2 years with your own experience to the students and faculties and all industry people. Thank you so much, sir, and over to you.
Thanks, Manas. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Babita and Hamdard, the Vice Chancellor, and the university for giving this opportunity. And I am thankful to all the students. I know how tough it is to engage in a digital platform. And
Thank you so much for coming.
I have few slides, Manas. Then I would. I think it will be good if we can have a good number of question and answers. I will just upload my slides. Manas, you can see the slides?
It is coming through, sir. It is coming through. Yeah, we can see it now, sir.
Yeah. So, good afternoon. If we have to categorize the last 2 years, the last 2 years are a big time of change management. And this change came so suddenly. Many of us were not prepared, and this change has made us wiser in one way, and it has also made us rethink a lot of the things we thought will not change and we took for granted. So that's a major shift in our thought process. So whenever I think about the last 2 years, I only think about how the world has changed and how our industry has changed and how the healthcare ecosystem has changed. So
Many people, including us, used to think that once the COVID is over, the world will come back to the earlier stage, but it is not going to be. It is like a stretched rubber band. It will never get back to its original shape. It's going to remain changed. And this change is going to make us rethink our strategy, reorient our approach. So, how the pandemic impacted the healthcare system, and how did it impact us as a pharmaceutical industry? All of you know that as pharmaceutical industry, the way we promote our products is gaining access to the physicians by meeting them on a regular basis in the clinics, in the hospitals. And that is a major change. Because of the pandemic, there was no access to the physicians by physical means. Hospitals did not allow the pharma team members to enter. And significantly, because of the restrictions in travel, there was a reduction in the patient footfall. And we also had a significant disruption of our supply chain. All this on a parallel track led to a digital transformation. The pace of digital transformation in the last 2 years has been much more than what would have been in a normal time. And this was driven by the pandemic. Pandemic acted as a catalyst in this digital transformation. So let me take the first part about the supply chain. During the first wave, it made our life very difficult because as a pharmaceutical company, we rely on regular transport to send our supplies, and all the uh, infrastructure which was related to the transportation got restricted because there was a huge network of impact because of the restrictions imposed by the government. And we really had to work hard to work with the government of different states to allow the transportation of medicines to different parts of the country. And I will say this not only on, I can say this, the governments across the country and including the central government was very responsive. They understood the necessity and made sure that the transportation of medicines went on with very minimal disruption. And also they allowed the pharmaceutical companies manufacturing units to work without any restriction with proper care. And that has helped the country to face the COVID pandemic in a much more organized way. And also one important thing which has changed in the industry, I will say due to the pandemic, for the first time when the wave hit us in the uh, early part of the 20s, the government of India called all the pharmaceutical companies which manufacture remdesivir. They made one single goal, making sure that the supplies are reaching to all parts of the country, and all the companies work together to achieve this goal. Although many of the companies are competitors in the market, this was the time when all the companies came together to address a need of the nation and put the need of the nation above themselves. This is something which is very remarkable. You can't see this happening even in an advanced country like USA. It happened in India because all the companies worked together and they felt that they have to address the need of the nation above their own needs. That was a remarkable change in the way industry looked at this crisis. I think earlier Dr. Charudat Arora and Atul has spoken about how the healthcare system is changing. So one of the other important changes which has come is about the telemedicine. The telemedicine usage has gone up substantially. While telemedicine is not a solution to every medical problem, but a significant number of non-critical illnesses where the visit to the clinic is not necessary, a follow-up visit is not necessary, the telemedicine has picked up very, very significantly. And during the time of pandemic, even the patients and the physicians become adept in using digital technology. And because there was no transportation, there was restricted access, people learned how to use the virtual platforms to reach out to the doctors and seek their opinion. This change is going to remain for a long time, because even now, if you go to the individual hospital's website, there are options for web consultation, because hospitals have realized that this telemedicine is going to stay for a long time. So this is a major change which has come in the industry. And how this is going to impact? This is going to impact in different ways, because when you have a telemedicine consultation, the prescription is given by the doctor. Usually what happens when a patient visits a hospital, when he gets a prescription, he is going to buy the medicine from the chemist in the near the hospital. Now, the patients are not going to buy from there. They are going to buy through e-pharmacies. And that's where e-pharmacies like 1mg, PharmEasy have become much more stronger. Their ability to service has become multiple times higher, and their power is much higher now. And one of the important things which is happening is that they are sitting on a huge pile of data. They have data zip code wise. What are the medicines which are going? How many doctors are prescribed what type of medicines? And what is the type of purchase a patient is making? This data is like unimaginably powerful. That data can give insights into the compliance of the patients, the type of medicines which are getting used, the type of indications where the medicines are getting used, which would have taken probably a tremendous effort by many people to get such a data. Now these companies have this data, and we are waiting to see how they are going to use this data. And when we are talking about physicians are comfortable now with remote working tool. They are looking at more and more usage of artificial intelligence driven tool, and they are comfortable now with online education seminars, which is saving them time and giving them access to several key opinion leaders and key thought leaders from across the world. And they are also comfortable in dealing with patients to a certain extent if it is not critical through online portals. So this is something which is going to remain unchanged. In fact, some of the biggest educational conferences which used to happen in the country like US, like annual meeting of American Society of Hematology or annual meeting of American Society of Oncology, they all have become a virtual events, so that now people from across the world can participate in the same platform. So this change is going to have a multiplier effect in the times to come. And in fact, WhatsApp is the most preferred mode of communication for many doctors, followed by emails. And because of the restricted access of salespeople to the hospital, the communication through the mails and WhatsApp has become much, much higher. And now most of the doctors, 92% of the doctors have told that they will be continuing to use digital engagement to communicate with the companies even after the COVID-19 is under control. And now it is happening. We are now post the pandemic situation. Even now, the digital access remains intact. And coming to us, what we are doing in Dr. Reddy's, we are also having the platforms where we are connecting to the doctors through DocConnect, and we are connecting to them through emails through Eloqua platform. And we have also hosted an exclusive platform where educational events are hosted, where the physicians can visit and attend them and look at the recorded webinars. And we have seen that this is given a good, remarkable amount of access to the doctors and engagement of the doctors. What has been the impact on the healthcare professionals? Many of the healthcare professionals who were not very techno savvy earlier have become very digital savvy now, because the pandemic has forced them to adapt to digital technology, and they have more connections through digital networks. There is a definite feedback that peer-to-peer learning has increased, and most of them are comfortable meeting pharma companies through Zoom or MS Teams, and more opportunities to listen to interact with global key thought leaders now through the virtual platforms. And now data suggests that healthcare providers can do more things virtually, and they are going to continue to do it in the long term. And this is going to be the future on how the digital world is shaping up the entire healthcare system. Earlier, I think Manas spoke about the government of India's mission of Swasth Bharat and e-Sanjeevani OPD. This is a remarkable initiative by the government of India. This has not got wide publicity, but it has served a remarkable number of patients through a very, very successful platform, which is very easy to use. And this is going to change the way healthcare access is going to evolve. So where there was a primary healthcare center, used to be, there are restrictions, there are resource crunches in having primary healthcare center in different parts of the country. And I think in times to come, the government of India will leverage this e-Sanjeevani OPD to give access to all those remote places. Now, how is it going to change? How post-pandemic model will evolve? So we are working with IQVIA. So IQVIA shared us some insights. One, the patient journey. Lot of patients who were not diagnosed will come back now, and we are seeing that happening in the hospitals. And now more companies will engage with doctors in a physical mode along with a hybrid model. And there is a lot of pressure on the healthcare system, be it insurance companies or be on the government, where they had spent a huge amount of resources in management of COVID. And now everybody is looking for a lot of real world evidence that how we are going to look at the existing drugs and what is the benefit they are going to give to optimize resources. So there are going to be changes in the way the industry is going to look at, and even the insurance companies are going to look at. What are the challenges we have faced in the last 2 years? The biggest challenge both healthcare providers and many of the other professionals have faced is digital fatigue. The amount of time spent on a virtual world in front of the laptop has gone up substantially, and that has led to a fatigue in the minds of the people. Reduced attention span, because there is so much conflicting signals you are getting for your attention. There are so much fight for your attention. The attention span is getting reduced. So the impact of this is, if your messaging is not very clear, you are not able to communicate very clearly in the first 10 seconds, you are lost. You lose the battle. And there is a tremendous information overload. This is something which is taking a toll on everybody. So when we look at the last 2 years, what are the things which can help us to succeed in the future? One, unlearning and relearning is very, very important. What we thought as something which is not doable, which cannot be done, the pandemic has proved that it can be done. So we have to really do a lot of unlearning. We have to relearn what can be done. And giving up a siloed approach, we have to partner with several ecosystem partners to work together. And bringing in a lot of outside-in perspective is very important. This outside-in perspective is not necessarily from the same industry. It can be from several industries that can help us to improve our approach and knowledge. And importantly, you have to expect and manage the change from your customers. Many of your customers, the way they think, the way approach have changed. So what used to be 2 years before, something which was very, very common now may not be common. Their approach, their thought process change. You have to expect this change. And you also have to think beyond the conventional approach in terms of your promotion, in terms of your approach to patients, in terms of your approach to the entire ecosystem. These are the things which are going to make a huge change to us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Anybody has any question? I have few questions for Ashok, sir. But before that, I would like to hear from the students if anybody has any questions to Ashok, sir. Probably in between, if students are thinking, sir, I have two questions, sir, to you.
Yeah.
Sir, what is your take on digital transformation when it comes to tier 2 cities or tier 3 cities or rural areas? How do you see that doctors sitting over there in terms of adaptation and in terms of utilization?
So the point to note is that the digital transformation is not restricted to metros and tier 1 cities.
Yep.
We have been interacting with physicians from far off cities as far as, let's say, Jabalpur in MP, to some place like Cooch Bihar in West Bengal, and say Bikaner in Rajasthan. So the digital transformation is a reality even in those cities. The extent of digital transformation is not based on the city, it is most often based on the type of the practice the doctor has and the type of the specialty the doctor belongs to. So because we deal with specialty care, which is with oncology, nephrology, and some of the advanced surgical businesses, there the digital transformation is very, very easy. But we have our colleagues from primary care, there the pace of digital transformation is slow. So the digital transformation has a lot to do with the type of the specialty rather than the type of the city, and also the type of the practice a doctor has.
Sir, when it comes to acute care, do you find that consumers are also participating big time in digital platforms to take the teleconsultation or any other consultation through different platforms?
Yes, if you look at the acute care, in fact, during the time of the pandemic, because there was restriction on the patients going to the doctor unless the patient is in a very critical conditions, more than 60% of the consultations happened through the virtual platforms. So I can give some of the examples. During the period of the entire pandemic, one of our renowned pulmonologists from Hyderabad, Dr. Pradyut Wagde, he is a consultant in Apollo, and he also has a clinic outside. He has a platform. He has a presence in virtual platforms, both Apollo 24/7 and also his own platform. The number of consultations, when we interacted with him, he told the number of consultations he did in those platforms during the pandemic was almost multiple times higher than how many consultations he would have done in his clinic and in the hospital. That is in a case of a city like Hyderabad. So we have a doctor by name, an internal medicine specialist by name Dr. Aditya Guhan in a city called Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu. He also had treated a lot of patients of COVID-19 in acute conditions. He has treated multiple number of patients compared to what he treated in his clinic and hospital, for the simple reason, because of his network. Earlier he used to treat patients only from Coimbatore. Because he is well known, patients from all over the country got treated with his virtual consultation. So the change in the technology and digital transformation is also an opportunity for the trained physicians to get access to patients from many parts of the country. So this is something, a change which would not have happened usually.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, for quite some time, you also handled the COVID portfolio to the best of my knowledge. And then probably you got an opportunity to handle Sputnik as a vaccine also.
Yes.
So I just like to listen from you because distribution channel was the biggest problem for the transportation of vaccine. How do you find over last 2 years when we look at our country, 180 crore where those doses has been given to different parts of the, there are multiple people has taken double doses. As a company, how you see the transformation happen when it comes to distribution management in cold storage? You must have experienced a lot, sir.
So first and foremost thing we must understand is that the success India has achieved in COVID-19 vaccination is unparalleled in the world. There is no other country which could do vaccination to this scale and so fast. So it is a remarkable achievement by the government of India, governments of various states, healthcare providers across the country, and the pharmaceutical companies which are involved in development of the vaccine and providing to the government. So the point is the supply chain, that augmentation of the supply chain to store and transport the vaccine was a remarkable work done by all the governments, including the state governments. So the government of India, when it planned the vaccination, it actually leveraged earlier set up facilities for vaccine, and it has under very clearly including the involvement of the several departments of the central government and the state governments. They identified all the storage points across the country at each district headquarters level, and from district headquarters to subsequent cities, how the transportation can be done. The complete mapping was done by the government of India and the state governments, and then the vaccines were made available. And it was a remarkably well-planned strategy. And I think if you have noticed the amount of vaccine wastage which has happened in India, it is very, very minimal. It is kudos to the work which is done remarkably well by all the state governments. At a time of crisis, everybody came together to make sure that the nation is served very well. And West had so many people talking about the vaccine hesitancy. In India, the vaccine hesitancy was very, very minimal. Although there were some people who had skepticism on this, like in every society there are, but on the whole, people were very receptive to the idea. They went ahead and got vaccinated, and the government of India's portal, which managed the entire vaccination and the tracking of the record and issuing of the certificate, is one of the most advanced ones. In fact, many of the students might not know that in advanced countries like US, they are giving handwritten certificates. India's vaccine certificate is a digital one. This is something which as an Indian, we all should be proud of.
Correct. So last question from my side. If distribution system has been in place, there are a lot of integration, very quick integration happened actually, sir, in terms of technological advancements, and India proved once again that we are not behind in terms of integration or digitalization. Sir, when it comes to manufacturing, what is your experience? What is your learning, sir? Not only about Dr. Reddy's, but also other companies like Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute. Accelerating the manufacturing process, making sure that number of doses are getting manufactured on time and then being get transported. Could you throw some insights, sir?
So India has been a very strong player in the pharma industry in terms of the manufacturing of APIs as well as in the finished dosage forms traditionally. India's capability in manufacturing biologics, which includes vaccines and other complex biologics, has started way back in somewhere around 2000. In fact, India was the first country which had a biosimilar vaccine of hepatitis B, which is manufactured by probably including a company like Bharat Biotech and Shanta Biotech. And so India had tremendous work. India had done a tremendous work in terms of the biotechnology and all the biologics development. And once the COVID-19, in fact, if you have noticed the development and clinical trial of the COVID-19 vaccine was one of the fastest one. And once the vaccine was developed and the scaling up was done, the manufacturing happened in a very, very short time. And it is to the credit of the regulator of India, DCGI. They have not done anything. They have made sure that all the processes are completely complete due diligence was done, and then only they have given the approval to go ahead for the injection of these vaccines. So remarkable work done by the Indian vaccine industry, which includes uh, Bharat Biotech and also our Pune-based firms. So it is I think, from a scaling up and distribution across the country, it was really remarkable. And the government's policy of purchase, in a very transparent manner, government had made the purchase policy very clear, and it had negotiated very well to make sure that the government gets a very decent deal in making sure that the country gets the best vaccine coverage. I think this is a remarkable teamwork. I will say the entire work was done very remarkably. And I also will say that because the country was fighting the pandemic, one of the key drugs was remdesivir. In the first wave, there was a lot of challenges because the amount of drug available was restricted. But subsequently, the government of India stepped up and it bought a huge amount of drug and distributed to all the states so that in case it was required, the usage can be done. So the usage pattern to make sure that the government make sure that the right patients get drugs, it had taken several measures, including the Union Minister of Health. Several chief secretaries, chief ministers were involved in the active distribution of this drug. So I think this is a remarkable. And also, you must have seen recently the government has, after a due diligence, approved molnupiravir very fast, although it is not much used. But the government is very sensitive to the pandemic and the impact caused by the pandemic, and it has taken measures to make sure that the people get access to the vaccines.
The last questions are on the promotion part. We heard, I have already heard about lot many things on digitalization, digital. Sir, being a head of marketing in the super specialty division, how do you see the promotion going forward? Is it going to be a hybrid model, or as the pandemic is getting into an endemic stage, it is going to back on foot in terms of physical through digital? So how do you see, sir, going forward, sir?
So, like I said, this is like a stretched rubber band. It will not go back to the original shape. So this model will remain hybrid. The digital medium will supplement a physical meeting. The number of physical meetings will go down. So omni-channel marketing, whether it is through emails, whether it is through WhatsApp, whether it is through other medium, will continue to remain relevant because that has become a part of the life of the customer for us. I am not saying here the customer is not only a doctor, the customer is also the purchase authorities of the hospitals, also other stakeholders in the ecosystem. So they are going to be multiple touch points. If you want multiple touch points, you need to have an omni-channel approach. And that is one of the reasons I think the students here should make sure that they should learn how the digital marketing has to be done, and they should sharpen themselves. They should learn on this particular aspects. See, I think as students, many of the students will be pursuing B.Pharm, and there was a question earlier that why B.Pharm guys are not paid high, and Atul answered it very well that everybody is treated equal when they join the industry as a medical representative. It is a fact. See, being a B.Pharm student gives you an edge during the selection process. But once you are selected, your ability to deliver results in terms of sales, how do you build up your network, how do you build up your relationships, and how do you leverage the relationship to get results are the ones which matter. Your educational qualification can help you so only to get an entry. Beyond that, it is your hard work and how you sharpen your skills. You cannot today tell that because I'm a B Farm, I should be given a preferential treatment. Probably you will get, if you have a very good knowledge base, then you are being interviewed for a product manager post or in a post which requires that skill set. Otherwise, you will have to work on your skill set.
Sure, sure. This is the questions from my side is over. So anybody has any question from the student sides, from the speaker side, anything from the faculty side? If anybody has any questions, we got an opportunity to have Sokshar with us. So anybody has any questions related to revolution, related to digitalization, related to promotion, related to career aspects? He's the best fit in terms of carving out himself from the position of sales to marketing to strategic planning. So he has carved out many things. So anybody has any questions, please open your mic, ask these questions to the speakers. You got an opportunity to speak to the eminent professionals of this industry. I think, as I mentioned in starting, जब क्वेश्चंस नहीं आता है तो बड़ा सिचुएशन बड़ा सा सर टेढ़ा हो जाता है in terms of या तो लोगों को सब समझ में आ गया है या तो.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Sir, this is a song from 8th semester BPharm.
Yeah, Shashank.
Sir, my question was that if someone want to pursue pharma retail and distribution business, sir, you know, as the digital aspect, current aspect is changing, like many things are getting digitalized, and many network companies like 1MG and the others are making pharma retailing market into digital platform. So how can we move into this market while going with the current trend? Like how can we move from a current distributing business from the and so went into the digital market?
So if you notice, Shashank, the most important point is that why 1MG or why pharmacy are appealing to and why they are able to gain market share, because of two things. One, they are able to give you a quality product at a discounted price, and they are going to deliver to your home. It is a question of convenience, it is a question of savings, and it is a question of ease of ordering. You need to upload your prescriptions, you need to enter your address, and you get the medicine delivered to your home. So if you have seen, I don't know which city you are in, near my home, the chemist with whom I work with, means we buy medicines from, he does the same thing to us. My both parents are hypertensive and diabetic. Both are on medications which are regular. So every month on the 2nd, he gives a call exactly at morning 8:30 and tells that your medicines are due. So I'm sending a boy to deliver the medicines along with the bill. So please pay him the money. And because nowadays we are not dealing with cash, he sends that guy along with a number on which the payment can be made through PhonePe. That is a personalized service. So if you want to start a retail business, you have to first, because I think this is something which is in marketing, we call it as a segmentation and positioning. You have to segment your market, where you want to be, which market segment you are going to serve. Will that market segment be enough to give you a sufficient revenue? And then you should make it personalized to them. You should be seen as a solution provider to them, not as a pharma retailer. Then you will be successful. Otherwise, if you are going to start a venture as a pharma retail, if you are not going to have a clear support system in place, what will happen is your investment will not give you the desired return. So you will have to be careful.
Sir, I was talking about stockist and distribution ship, not as a retailer.
That's what I'm saying. If you are a stockist, you should know that who are going to buy from you as a retailer. You have a competition already. What is that unique thing which you are going to offer to the other retailers to buy from you? because every existing stockist will have two things. One, he will give some credit period, he will offer some additional discount. What is that you are going to do to make them you as a choice? What is that you are going to do? Because if you are starting something new, you will not have a relationship. What is that unique thing which will draw them to you?
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Any other questions anybody has?
Thank you so much, Ashok Vashish sir, for answering the questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Charu Dattaroda, Mr. Atul Hada, and Mr. Manas Ranjan sir for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
I
Thank you so much.
I would express my gratitude to all the speakers for taking out their time from their busy schedules and joining us for today's presentation. The insights that have been shared with us would be really beneficial. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Saidunisa ma'am to present vote of thanks. Dr. Saidunisa is a PhD in management along with Masters in International Business Management. She has more than 17 years of teaching and research experience and has been associated with Jamia Hamdard since 2005. She is currently working as assistant professor in the area of international business in the Department of Management. Additionally, she is also looking after the responsibility of deputy provost and convener of Industry Academia Partnership Cell. She is teaching various papers related to international business and management. Her area of research interest is international business and sustainable development. She has published research papers in national and international journals of repute. I would now like to request Dr. Saidunisa to present the vote of thanks to the eminent speakers and audience of today's session who joined us and made the event successful. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much, Bhavya. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to be part of this thriving confluence of dignitaries, university officials, faculty members, and students. First of all, my sincere thanks to Almighty for making today's event a grand success. By His blessings and grace, we were able to make the event what it was. I take this opportunity to thank all the speakers of today's session for not only sparing their valuable time to grace this occasion, but also for enlightening us with their commendable speeches on the topic. I express my sincere regards to Mr. Manas Ranjan Rao, founder and CEO, Cognitrex Consultants Private Limited, to be our first speaker and moderator of session. Sir, your thoughts have enlightened our minds and have shown us a new path. My gratitude to you for gracing the occasion and sharing your opinions today. I'm running short of words to express my gratitude to you, sir. I must mention a deep sense of appreciation to our second speaker, Mr. Atul Hadab, Country Head, India and Southeast Asia, GRS Knowledge Services. Sir, you discussed various issues related to career in pharma marketing and sales. And you also discussed the challenges and requirement of the pharma job and the paradigm shift in pharma jobs. So you have created a spark and gave a new insight to think differently. Your thoughts were really noteworthy and amazing. I also express my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Charu Datta Arora, Head of Department, ICU and Home Healthcare Services, Ameri Health, Asian Institute of Medical Sciences. Sir, you discussed three important points in your talk. First, healthcare reforms in India in post-COVID era. Second, how has the Indian scenario changed? And third point was boost in telemedicine and home healthcare services. Sir, your thoughts have truly inspired us. Thank you for inspiring and encouraging us with your words. I also want to extend my warm gratitude to Mr. V.K. Ashok, Head Marketing, Oncology and Hospital Biz, India. So you discussed the change management process during COVID, and the topics that you covered were related to digital transformation, coming up of telemedicine, remote working, online communication, omni-channel marketing, and post-pandemic commercial model. I must express my deepest appreciation for your brilliant ideas and elegant explanation of everything, and for enriching us with your valuable thoughts and experiences. No event can take shape without a hard-working leader. And it was the dedication and enthusiasm of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor M. Afshar Alam, for being the catalyst that stimulated us to do our best and standing as pillars of strength. Sir, you are always there to support us and to guide us. Thank you, sir, for being our voice of reason and our guiding light. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to you, sir. I would be failing in my duty if I do not acknowledge the hard work and efforts of our honorary director, Dr. Babita Ji Kataria. It was her idea only that we were able to organize this event today. I express my sincere gratitude to you, ma'am. I would also like to thank our anchors for today's program, Shashi Shekhar Singh and Bhavya Rai, for the wonderful anchoring, and also to Mohsen for his recitation of verses of Quran. A big thanks to all deans, heads, faculty members, technical staff, and organizing team who have been directly or indirectly involved in making this program a success. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the students who have been the strength of this summit. Once again, I would like to state that we are glad to all the speakers here in the meeting. We thank you for being with us. It has remained a pronounced pleasure. Have a great day ahead. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Manas sir. Thank you, Atul sir. Thank you, Charudar sir and Ashok sir. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, students. Thank you, university. Thank you, faculties. With all regards, thank you so much. Look forward to joining the next day session tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Yes, sir. And thank you all the students and anchors and Sagunisa ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.